Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something. Our beat.
Seriously, we need to release the F scene list.
Face off!
I am not a church boy.
Face off!
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Sunday evening edition of the New Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dibular, of course.
Hello.
What happened? You
Yeah.
exited and came back in?
Yeah. It knocked out my camera. I'm trying to get it to bring it back online without having to exit. We'll see how that goes. How do you have the order set up?
What do you mean?
Who goes first?
I go first. I mean, you look fine. Your camera's fine. Is this your computer camera?
It's the computer camera.
It's a good camera. Russ just got a new computer. So, I mean, I think your webcam looks good. The webcam. This is the first time we're seeing you on the new computer cam. I think it looks very clear. I think it looks good. What do you think, people?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
What
I
do
don't
you
need
people?
to go over
what
to
do you
the other
people in
camera.
the chat? Yeah, no.
If this is okay, then I'll just leave it for now.
Looks good. Looks good. I mean, it's a touch dark, but the picture is clear. It looks good. It looks very cinematic.
Better be for what this fucking computer cost.
Yeah. It looks very cinematic. I like it. Yeah.
All right.
Saying you look good.
I just brightened it up a little bit.
Yeah. I think it looks fine.
Yeah.
I think it looks fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Not bad.
I want to start. I want to start doing some more advanced editing work for Due Dissidents and for my own channel. And the old computer was going plus Adobe. Nightmare, just a nightmare. So now I'm learning DaVinci. Everything I'm doing now is on DaVinci.
All right. Cool. Let's see. What does this look like here? So if I take this down, now I put this up. Yes, that works. We should just have background music on while we talk, Just keep the jazz music going the entire show. Just making sure. I think you may have touched the video by accident when you were logging in. It triggered something.
What happened?
It triggered something in the StreamYard where something jumped when you reconnected or whatever. Yeah, just wanted to make sure there's nothing wrong on my end.
Okay. All right. My stuff's all still in, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's still in. It's good. Looks like it's good. Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. I'm just going to have everybody, I just want to let everybody know from the outset, I'm in a very Jewy mood this evening. You're in for a pretty Jewy show. I'm feeling very Jewy. And, this July 4th shit really brings the Larry David.
Don't say what else is new. Don't say
Yeah.
what else is new.
Yeah. It really does. I mean, it really does. I thought I outgrew it, but no. And I understand what people are saying, and we've talked about it in the past, how like this, a 250th anniversary seems more subdued than we would have expected, given all the fanfare around these kinds of things. But it was still too much for me. I gotta say, it was still way too much for me. Still way too much. Are you proud to be an American? Are you proud to be an American? Why aren't you proud? Why shouldn't you be proud to be? Who's proud of where they were born? You're proud of things you do. You're proud of what you accomplish. Well, how could you be proud to have been born somewhere? That's just luck. What do you mean you're proud? It bothered me. I'm proud. And then the fireworks and the driving and the noise and the music. And, oh my God. I mean, this is, you talk about goy slop. This is real, and I don't use that term unironically anymore out of respect for, everything that's gone on in the world. But this 4th of July shit is some goy bullshit. I gotta say, this is some straight up goy shit right here. I mean, I can't take it. I can't. I'm so glad it's over. I've been so bothered by the events of the past couple of days. Thank God. God we're moving on. This is for the goyim. This 4th of July shit. It really is. And I didn't think I'd use that term like that anymore. But I'm gonna bring it out of retirement once a year for 4th of July. That's it. I'm gonna say it once a year in its original meaning. Every other time will be with a shade of irony and satire. But no, now I mean it literally. Literally, this is goy shit, this 4th of July shit. It's obnoxious. What an obnoxious thing. Ugh. Ugh.
Ugh. Yeah, so me and Keaton talked about this earlier, and I've mentioned this on the show. And those of you who are in my age or older, if you're any younger than me, there's no way you're going to remember this because I'm like right on the line for remembering it. I remember the bicentennial, and basically for an entire freaking year, every newsstand magazine count was full of covers with different themes focusing on the bicentennial. What the First Lady?
Dick Russell froze. Do we have him? I think he froze. I think his devices are probably screwed up. He may have to leave and come back in. Might have to leave and come back in. After all, yeah, looks like he's going to have to. It's a shame because that camera's good.
Oh, you know what? You know what happened? That was the VPN. So yeah, that was just the VPN switched, I think, servers. Yeah, it was every place. It was every place. Every commercial on TV was an auto dealer dressed up as George Washington or Abraham Lincoln trying to sell you a Buick, but for a freaking year. It was like that for a year. The fact that this was so subdued and people were just so completely disinterested in it, it's a statement. It's definitely a statement on where the country is. Because remember, 1976, this is the middle of the energy crisis. It's the middle of an enormous recession. You're in the middle of stagflation. And nonetheless, people were into it. Now?
Yeah.
Nah. I think people then still had enough residual patriotism that even though that was not the greatest decade for a lot of people, they were still going to celebrate the bicentennial. And now I think people just don't care. It's a very noticeable cultural shift.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying no progress has been made, but it was still too much for me. Still too much for me. So we're gonna get all into it, folks.
Hey, hang on. You want to get a meltdown? Want to get a meltdown? This will make some funny shit in the comments. I promise.
All right.
It's gonna make some funny shit like when the video playback is out there. I'm gonna read the comments and laugh.
Oh,
It's the Emily Wilson translation of the Odyssey.
Oh, all right. There you go. Well,
I'm
drive engagement.
I'm picking it up in anticipation of the Nolan thing, because I saw an interview with her, and I didn't have any like disrespect towards her in the first place, but when I read the interview with her, she's not woke. She's an academic. She's an academic. When the interviewer tried to bait her into this, asking her like, well, do you think that the way things have been translated is because men have translated it, so they focused on violence and dominance? And she's like, yeah, I know what you want. If you're trying to bait me into saying or get me to say that I could tell the difference reading a translation of if a man or a woman translated it, no, I could not. She said there's feminist translation, where that's a completely different thing, where you have feminists who translate women. Specifically, they translate women, and that's their focus, to bring to light women who haven't gotten enough respect, to try to get them added to the canon. She said, this gender discourse, I find it completely uninteresting. I just hope more people sign up for education in the classics as a result of this controversy, but it's a boring conversation I don't want to be a part of. I saw that. I said, you know what? That's a translation I want to read.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go. When's the movie coming out?
It's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and she was also,
July,
I mean,
right?
what brought me into it, like aesthetically, is she made the point. She said, all of this florid language they've done with the Odyssey, she said, that's really not what it was. Like when you study the classics, the Odyssey is something you could read second year if you're studying ancient Greek, because it was intended to be read by common people and understood by common people. So it's actually pretty stripped down, simple language. and it's also in meter, which she brought into it. So that sounds like she had a pretty good theory of how to translate it, that in spite of what the chuds are saying, is not rooted in any gender ideology. It's attempting to root it in its historical context in a way that captures, for people who speak a language that did not exist at the time that this was written, will have some sense of what it's supposed to feel like and sound like.
All right. Well, I guess we'll review that when it comes out. That's even more goy shit than the 4th of July. But
well, not the way they're doing it. That's why there's a
meltdown. The way they're doing it. Maybe not.
No.
Maybe not.
But Black Helen of Troy.
Yeah. We got Jake in the booth tonight. Round of applause for Jake in the chat, please. 1304 strong. Start things off in the YouTube chat. 450 over on Rumble. We will be going to the members Q&A after the show this evening. Big week this week. You're going to be seeing a whole lot of us this week. I am hosting the Jimmy Dore Show Monday and Friday, and Russ is hosting Wednesday. So you got, 6 days in a row of at least one of the two of us. So we got a lot of airtime.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big due dissidence hoedown over there at the Jimmy Dore Show.
That's right.
And you've got, who are your guests tomorrow?
I have Savage Joy Marie Mann tomorrow coming on to talk about the Temujin Kensu case, who's now been in prison for 40 years for a crime he very clearly did not commit. We did a segment about this with her about a year ago, I want to guess. And so it's great to be able to bring that case to a larger audience, because I think it's a really important story. We're going to talk a little bit about East Palestine, Ohio, and then we're going to do some material with Kurt. I got Kurt joining me tomorrow. And then I got Caleb Maupin coming on Friday, which I'm really glad to have Caleb coming on, because I'm going to feature a little bit of Caleb's stuff in one of my segments tonight. So I won't spoil that. But if there's a story that you are tuning into and you're thinking, oh, why aren't they covering this story? It's because we kind of have to, when we're doing the Jimmy Show, we kind of have to split what we do, because I don't feel good about doing the same story twice here and there. So there are some stories, like, for example, the Ayatollah funeral, I'll be covering that tomorrow on the Jimmy Dore Show. There are certain stories we kind of have to split up so that I'm not doing the same stuff all week. So if there's a story where you're like, I can't believe they didn't do that, well, that's why. So you're gonna be seeing plenty of us this week. So thanks everybody very much for tuning in. Appreciate you all being here. What's that?
All right. So my guest lineup this week on Wednesday, it is going to be Professor Zenkis and Mr. Nick Cruz. What's cool though is he's coming to New York, and we're having an MMA fight.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be like the White House lawn. Yeah.
That's going to be 2 hits, him hitting me and me hitting the floor.
Yeah,
that's going to be a short show. Then I have got Katie for the following week, Miss Halper. I got Peter Turchin for the 3rd week. And for the final week, we have got Joel Whitney, the author of Finks. And we're going to explore how basically the CIA created the modern left.
Should get Matt Damon on for the Odyssey one of these weeks.
Maybe I could get him.
That'll be good. That'll be good.
Be more likely to get Elliot Page.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody, please do smash that like button. Let's get an even bigger crowd in here this evening. We are going to get started right now. So, hey, it was 4th of July weekend this weekend. America celebrated its 250th birthday, and this was a sign of things to come. Here is the rehearsal for the big event. The Freedom 250 stage collapses on dancers as they rehearse for the 4th of July celebration.
It's the best. It's the best.
I mean, they're really lucky that didn't land on someone and fucking kill somebody.
Very, very Christopher Guest.
Yeah. Jesus.
I mean, really, that would have killed people. If it
Oh yeah, if you get hit on the head from that fight,
oh yeah,
fucking flying piece of wood. Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. So that was just kind of a sign of things to come. Fox News started broadcasting when the fair opened. Incredible scenes on Fox as there is literally not a soul at Trump's fair, which has now been open for 15 minutes. Let's take a look.
Yes, you may.
So this just in from Peter McMahon, big fan. He said the sports team, meaning our team,
Talk about the
should
World
check
Cup.
out the foul that Messi committed in an earlier game. It was almost
It's
exactly
open.
the same, and he
It's
didn't
open.
even
Fair's
get
open.
a yellow
Open
card.
for business.
It was clumsy. It was accidental. That's what happened in the U.S. It wasn't a foul.
Good analysis, Peter.
Wow. I don't even want to know how much these vendors paid to be there, like the food vendors and shit like that,
Appreciate
you know?
that.
And that was the crowd. That was the crowd at the opening. Wow. CNN chimes in. Everybody noticed. Everybody noticed very quickly that this was kind of a bust.
Conditioning, if you can't expose yourself to this very long. And they're pointing in some ways like to the visitors here at the Great American State Fair events here, because a lot of these people are out in the sun and it's only going to get hotter. In fact, some of the exhibits today, they've had intermittent power problems. They lost air conditioning today.
Oh, what's that? What's that? They lost what? What's that I hear? They lost air conditioning at the DC State Fair? At the We Ain't No Stinking Communist All-American State Fair after ranting about the Zoran 78 degrees. What happened? The air conditioning blew at the State Fair. Wow.
I thought all the grids made by capitalists work perfectly.
Yeah, I thought
the entire national grid was built by communists, don't you know?
Yeah, exactly. The air conditioning shit out. That's weird.
So much that the workers there simply left their stations and said, fend for yourself, tourists as best you can. Different message from the administration, though. They've been very troubled by the anemic showing of people here, not that many people. They've been troubled by the embarrassment of what's happened with the reflecting pool down the way, and they really want to have a lot more people out, especially for the 4th. But a big challenge there, too. Security is going to be at the level of an inaugural event, which means more roads closed, more blockages for pedestrians, more waits. And by the way, Jake, the fireworks are not expected to go until maybe 11 o'clock at night. That's more time waiting in the heat.
Well, my favorite of the Where Is Everybody videos is this one. Fox News at the Great American State Fair. Feels like 110 degrees outside right now. That does not stop our true patriots. You can see them up here. And then a very unfortunate camera pan to not a lot of true patriots. Talk about a Christopher Guest thing.
Here, of course, on the National Mall. And here's the thing. We're celebrating, of course, all 50 nifty United States, which is great. But the temperatures are also here to party. The current temperature outside right now, by the way, 101 degrees. You factor in the humidity, and it feels like 110 degrees outside right now. We have excessive heat warnings that are in effect not just today, but through tomorrow, meaning that at times, get this, Brett, it could feel like 115 degrees. But let me tell you something. That does not stop our true patriots. You can see them up here celebrating on the National Mall, all right? Now, here's the thing. The heat, though, certainly keeping the crowds at bay at the Great American State Fair. Plenty of folks still braving the heat to be a part of America's
Now he says, the heat definitely
birthday.
keeping the folks at bay. As you can see over here, the true patriots are pouring in. Wow, that's looking more empty than the U.S.-Mexico border nowadays. And the crowd not really feeling it so far. Disappointed Great American State Fair attendees. Let's hear from the folks, from the salt of the earth folks who traveled to be here today.
What do you think of all of this?
Not much.
Not much, and
I've been to state fairs all throughout the United States. This is terrible.
and how so?
It's a program-length advertisement for the president.
Interesting. It's very interesting. I've never seen anything like this before, for sure, in my 27 years of living in Virginia, living near the DC area.
And does anything jump out at you?
No, nothing.
There's no cows. There's no sheep. There's no goats. It's not
This guy
a state
wanted
fair
cows and
without
sheep and
animals.
goats.
There's a butter cow.
This pervert's upset that there are no cows and no sheep and no goats here. I don't know what kind of fair he thinks we're putting on. I don't know what kind of fair he usually goes to. Looks like a weirdo to me. This is an American fair.
I'm told, at least in the Iowa booth, maybe.
It'll melt by tomorrow.
I'm totally underwhelmed. It's part political. That arch over there is, I think, promoting one of Trump's vanity projects.
These are people who wanted to go.
I compare this to the Smithsonian
people who showed
Folklore
up to this.
Festival
Right.
that they do every year, which is wonderful. Really, talks about different cultures and countries. This is so bland, but I had to come down and see it.
The multiple stages at the event were largely empty.
Wow. Here's some more reviews. Scooby-Doo takes you inside of some of the exhibits here. So they had exhibits of all the 50 states here. So let's just not look at the empty field. Let's actually see what this fair was all about.
So to fulfill my civic duty, I attended the Great American State Fair, so you don't have to. And it was just as weird as everyone's saying. This is the Arc Dementia, which Trump hopes to build. The model was made out of cardboard, I think, and I'm pretty sure it would fall over from the gust of a tiny baby bird's wing. Now, each state and territory had their own exhibition rooms, some better than others. This one is Georgia's, where I'm originally from, featuring some AI chickens, some AI farmers, some more chickens on a map, and a Vidalia onion, and, of course, Waffle House. Shout out to the All-Star Special. Here's
Waffle
Alabama,
House
which I
menus.
think at least had photos of real people, plus their totally normal cardboard cutout of their shit-for-brains governor. Here's Tennessee, which featured some rocking chairs, plus moon pies, and an actually kind of cool area about voting rates. Next, we've got some Christian nationalist paintings in this really empty exhibit hall. Like, really, there were a couple ads, some World War II medals, and a broken telescope. This is one of the food halls during a power outage. They really set the ambiance with the flickering lights straight out of a horror movie. Also, they had shitty rice bowls for $17. Next comes the Ferris wheel that never worked, not once while we were there. The best part, sadly not captured on camera, is that whoever had programmed the Freedom 250 sign had clearly used PowerPoint or something. Every few seconds, the screen would turn black and a white block with the Freedom 250 logo would swoop down like a side effect from a 2005 PowerPoint presentation. The DC exhibit room had a wall where you could write whatever you wanted. Of course, someone wrote DJT, so I added my own touch in yellow right below.
Yeah. Here's some more humorous reviews. One thing you got to say about America is I think there's no doubt we are the funniest country in the world. If not the greatest, there's no doubt we are by far the funniest country on earth.
And when you look at the history of imperial collapse, we are going out with absolutely the most entertaining version in history. Nothing funny about the sack of Rome.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just AI renderings of farmers. Oh, wow, look, they grow peaches in Georgia. Isn't that interesting? Now, I will say, in fairness, I hate to shoehorn my own personal biases into the segment in this way, but, this to me is an argument for, not going anywhere ever. As embarrassing as this is, everything you go to is more or less this. It's more or less this. Anything you think you are going to have a good time at, let's go here this weekend. That'll be fun. When you get there, it's more or less a version of this. It's we wait in line, you stand out in the hot sun, you sweat, you get sunburned, then you look at something that you're supposed to find kind of interesting. Like when I went to Mystic, Connecticut a couple years ago with the family to the seaport, they have all the old boats. You look at the old boats. Oh, this is kind of it's interesting. Wow, look at this old boat from 18 whatever. Meanwhile, you're sweating, you're sticky, you're sunburned, you're dehydrated, you're exhausted. You can't just wait to get back to the hotel so you can take a shower and go to sleep. Like, this isn't that much worse than the average experience that you have any old place. So I think that this is a perfect metaphor for the average leisure time activity. You're always better off not doing anything. You're always better off just staying home. It's always more fun. And pound to pound, moment for moment, things like this are always a drag. They're always a drag.
So Keaton, are you familiar with the concept of creating your own reality? Are you have you ever heard anything about that? It's kind of Buddhists.
Yeah.
Believe very strongly in that.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
you
yeah.
expect largely defines what you experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you think maybe that's what you experience because that's what you expect?
Well, sometimes, but I mean, like, even like I've always said, Trump is the human embodiment of Atlantic City because this is like the boardwalk of Atlantic
Sure.
City. Hot, annoying, gaudy, cheap, underwhelming, right? Not worth going to, more exhausting than anything else. All right. So there's so many experiences that mirror this.
Okay, as a somewhat well-traveled person, I can tell you it's not normally like this. There are things that are like this. They're the kind of things I'm usually not all that interested in doing personally, so I don't get put in that position a lot. You want a like charming version of this, the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry, I believe it's called. That is a charming version of this, where you got a big room that explains how the tractors work, and you ride a mock tractor, and they got a room about what's in the average kitchen. And they have exhibits that have been there since the 50s. That's a charming version of this. That's air conditioned and indoors.
That's the big thing, air conditioned and indoors. All right. So this guy does a little bit more of a theatrical presentation here. Let's take a look.
We're at the Great American State Embarrassment. I'm here with Robbie Roadsteamer.
Are you going to Trump's loser fair? Guido's Hecksmith, Nazis will whine.
Let's go in and see how many tens of people are here today. They're not letting Robbie into the Great American State Fair. He's dressed as a bald eagle, and they won't let him in.
It's all just a hit song machine. All right, how far? Is it safe?
You're not coming in.
Is this why not? I'm dressed as the American Eagle. This is America. Why can't I come in and sing hit songs? Parsley pedos, Nazis will whine.
All right, I got in to the fair with a media pass.
People are
got a press
everywhere but here.
Let me give you a shot. First of all, the Capitol's right here. Got a Ferris wheel behind me right here. And I got to say, people are from all over the country are not coming here. I see a food tent. Let's go check out the food selection. We're inside the food tent where they have pretty standard fair food. It's Hibachi Express. You know,
Oh yeah.
pretty standard food you find at fairs.
One benefit is there's not long lines. In fact, there's not really lines at all.
Holy dystopian nightmare. Look at this. They have a replica of Trump's Arc de Trump. This is a replica of the arc that he wants to build over on Memorial Bridge. Look at this catastrophe.
Yep. So let's hear some more customer reviews. You know, this heat was obviously dangerous. So you had people with, medical conditions having a hard time. Luckily, they had a baptism pool that people could cool off in if they got too hot. So they ended up using the baptism pool for people who I guess were already converted, who just needed to cool off lest they get heat stroke and be wheeled out in an ambulance. So here's one such incident like that.
Megan, you were just over in the medical tent being treated. Tell us about how you're feeling.
Now I'm fine, but previously, none of these booths have air conditioning. We don't know what happened, but I started seeing
No
stars.
air conditioning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't they just have a meltdown about the air conditioning in New York? How you couldn't
They
turn your
did.
air conditioning
They
below
did.
78 degrees? No air conditioning in the food tent even? You got people cooking hot food, booth after booth after booth, no air conditioning in there? Really? Wow. Wow. This sounds like communism.
I can't believe they hired John Galt Power Company and they did such a shitty job.
Yeah.
And we went to the tent. There's a religious tent because that's the theme for today.
Yeah.
And they had a pool. they're baptizing people. Thank God they had the pool. They said, "Do you want to get in?" Yes, I think I do.
I think I want to be baptized.
I'm soaking wet, but I went to
Sure,
the medic
bring on
tent.
the Jesus.
They
Bring
took
on the
care
Jesus.
of me. I
Sure.
still got
Sure.
one of these towels. They filled me with electrolytes, but good.
Nice folks in there for sure.
Oh, they're wonderful.
They are
absolutely excellent.
DC
excellent.
Fire helped you out.
Wonderful, wonderful. They helped you out. They helped you out. Well, they couldn't keep this going forever. Day one ended in disappointment here. Fox reporting the Great American State Fair closing temporarily due to the heat. I guess this wasn't day one. I guess it's been going on all week, but this was day one of the weekend, of the big weekend. This would have been Friday. So it actually shuts down. It actually shuts down temporarily and activities get postponed. Here we go.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right.
Thanks, Mark.
And by the way, we're tracking a little bit of breaking news out of Washington right now at the Great American State Fair. They are closing it for the time being. We're just getting word of this. Due to the heat, Mark Meredith is there. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, Sandra, well, I can confirm the heat is absolutely a major factor here. We are just shy of 100 degrees right now with the heat index. It feels well over it. Just moments ago, they pushed everybody to the exits off the side of the National Mall. You can see one of the exits here. And I know we've been talking about crowd size all week. This has been the busiest day of the fair. We saw a few thousand people out here, especially as the flybys were going on. But now, as you can see, they're pushing everybody out. God bless you. You guys get over okay?
Oh, yeah, it was bad.
Let me help you.
Fox News never going to admit there's nobody
They've
there.
also put up signs right here, Sandra, that show what's going on. They say the event postponed. We will reopen at 5 p.m. Now, there's always possible that they could extend those closures right here. The heat is going to continue well through sunset, but you can also hear on the loudspeaker right here, they pushed everybody to the exit. We've seen a number of VIPs, cabinet secretaries. Donald Trump Jr. was out here earlier today. A lot of people coming to check it out. As we expected, Sandra, this is going to be the heat of the event itself, but obviously these temperatures, which we've been talking about all week, are dangerous, and they wanted to make sure people could seek shelter because, as you know, on the mall, you were just here, Sandra, there is nowhere to hide from the sun unless you're in those state pavilions, and those are very cramped quarters indeed. Sandra?
Yeah. And they're not air conditioned from what we're hearing. So, Great American State Fair attendees on life support amid extreme heat in Washington, D.C., reports The Hollywood Reporter. Before the Great American State Fair in the National Mall was temporarily shut down Friday due to extreme heat, 11 people were taken to the hospital, while 7 of those people received advanced life support and 4 received basic life support. NBC News reportedly spoke with D.C. Fire and EMS, who confirmed that before the fair temporarily closed, they had 44 patient contacts. 11 of those people were transported to the hospital for various illnesses and injuries, as 7 individuals received advanced life support and 4 received basic. So that was in D.C. But Trump was not in D.C. On Friday. He was out in South Dakota at Mount Rushmore. So certainly it was smooth sailing out there, right? Oh, no. Apparently a hailstorm was moving in.
Breaking news here. They just said that there's severe weather on the way. In fact, they said hail could be coming, and they're urging everybody to get inside. We're going to stay here for just a second here. Senator Rouse, thank you so much. We're going to get to shelter, and thank you for being here, and happy 4th.
Welcome to South Dakota.
That's the weather. We're going to head to break right now. We're going to get some shelter, and we'll be right back for Special Report.
How much do these Fox people resent being dragged out to these places with all this weather and this hellhole and the hail and the heat? I like this meme. You have died of trust the plan. that was in response to that little video clip that we saw just there. And yeah, $50 sized hail at Mount Rushmore ahead of Trump's speech.
Anybody have any questions while we're here? Property tax. You got time for an interview?
Yeah. No, don't worry. We're going to cover the actual speeches in a different segment. This is just a weather report, everybody, because it didn't get better on the 4th of July. Trump's July 4th celebration evacuated because of storms. So both big days had postponements and evacuations because of extreme weather. Here's Freedom News TV's Olia Scootercaster with some footage of a storm moving in on the 4th. This would have been yesterday, Saturday.
For your safety, please back away from the stage.
Look at that. These pop-up tents, they go. Worked enough craft shows. See, there one goes right there. Lucky that other one was there. Otherwise, that would have just gone right up and away. Oh boy.
Hey, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, please back away from the stage.
Gotta get out of here. Gotta go.
Bring everyone back up, please. I need everyone back behind that tent.
People were not happy. People were not thrilled.
We're ready. If I can have everyone back behind the American, please.
Yeah. Yeah, here they are. People in the National Mall not happy that the Secret Service is telling them to evacuate due to weather leading up to President Trump's speech.
They just
It's like the MAGA Nakba.
No!
So if you look at the skies there, getting pretty ominous. There were high winds. There were thunderstorms moving in. People had to get out of there. They had to seek shelter. If you've ever been to the mall, a lot of big open space, not a lot of indoor spaces available. Luckily, there was one big indoor space available, which had a lot of room because, didn't get too many visitors this weekend with all the MAGA crowds in town. And we're talking, of course, about the National Museum of African American History. Ends up being the shelter place for a lot of the MAGA people having to get in out of the elements.
Yeah.
Museum. I guess that's not really their thing. They're just like, yeah, we're just gonna hang out on the floor here, wait for the sky to clear up.
That's too much.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a nice museum. Did you go to that museum when you were there?
I did go to that museum, and my feeling was that, all right, you travel as much as I have around the country the last few years. And wherever I go, I always go to the main attractions. It felt like by the time they created this museum, a lot of other museums had already gotten all the good stuff. You know what I mean? Like, there are museums that have antiquities from slavery. There are museums, particularly in the pop culture section.
Right.
Like, man, I mean, everybody from the Rock and Roll Museum to various jazz and blues museums around the country, they've all grabbed up all of those things. So you definitely felt like they were trying to find what they could by the time they made this museum. So yeah. However, the idea of, as I suspected, that this is some white people hating museum. Like, what do you want them to do? Like, talk about the benefits of slavery? Like, that is what they want.
Yeah.
Really. Like, that is what they want. Who was it who started laying out the benefits of slavery? Who was that? DeSantis? Was it?
It was one of those.
It was one of those. Rufo. It was one of those people.
Yeah.
Like, other than that, what do you want them to do? Like,
Right.
I didn't feel like it was aggressive or obnoxious. I felt like it was the history, man. Like, what do you like? How would you frame that?
Right.
Oh, they were so happy.
Yeah, exactly.
They got three hots and a cot.
yeah, exactly. So it got dark. It got dark while MAGA was holed up in the African American Museum. And Fox started reporting that the mall was looking more like a ghost town here on America's 250th birthday.
Unfortunately, it looks like, at least for the foreseeable future, we're going to be celebrating America's 250th birthday all by ourselves out here. The National Mall has turned into a total ghost town. I'll step out, give you a look out here at what was the Great American State Fair. Just a couple of hours ago, we had thousands of people out here enjoying themselves, watching the nonstop military flyovers. Then we started getting these dark, looming clouds, big gusts of wind, isolated lightning strikes. They got on the loudspeakers, ordered everybody out, started clearing everybody out of here. They actually had National Guard and local sheriffs, local law enforcement coming through here, urging people to leave.
But Donald Trump was not going to let the weather ruin his good time. He fires off this big Truth Social post. Storms bring luck to whatever the occasion. They also make events a little bit more exciting. We're not going to read that whole thing now. Instead, we're going to have Brian Kilmeade from Fox News read it to us because he did a special report live from the, I'm not kidding, this is what Fox News, how they build this, the Freedom Bunker. The Freedom Bunker. Yeah, no, it says that right on the chyron.
Guys, first off, I got a Truth Social.
Inside the Fox News Freedom Bunker.
He goes, storms bring luck to whatever the occasion. They also make events a little bit more challenging.
All right, so now he's reading Trump's post.
It out. I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 hour from now. It looks like it's going to pass. They always do. I'll be there no matter what, but the what usually turns out to be a good thing. It's Saturday night. Let's have some fun. Even if we are out late tonight. They say 11 o'clock for the speech. Who cares? Remember, 2 weeks ago when the big UFC event was 100% chance of heavy rain all week long, and just minutes before the card started, there wasn't a single drop. And the fights turned out to be among the greatest in history, an event for the ages. Our great veterans, especially the old-timers, many of which you guys are seeing behind us, by the way, it didn't stop them. It's not going to stop us either. I am not going to let some rain stop the 250th. I'm leaving the White House soon. God bless America. Donald J. Trump. So there you go. This is yours, Peter? That's Peter Ducey just handed me that.
Haven't seen Fox News scramble for content like this since Barack Obama beat Mitt Romney. Does everybody remember that legendary meltdown where they sent Megyn Kelly back in the offices of the building to ask the people counting the votes, are you sure? Are you sure he actually won? Meanwhile, in the communist hell of New York City, somebody tweets the fireworks show from New York, which had their fireworks on time that did not wait for the president's speech. Eventually, though, people were allowed back in.
Part of the masses of the whole crowd here, where there is no order. Let's go to the left. Everybody, it's just a mass mob getting back here. It's not clear.
Stay close, please. Thank you.
Now,
it's not clear what the security.
I thought of this same thing. Like, isn't that a security risk to just have everybody run back in there at once? Like,
no screening.
Like, I mean, I'm sure they went through some kind, but it looks like they're just walking back in.
Would be allowed back in, and that he would be giving his speech no matter what time of night. You're now watching everybody descend on this area. It's not clear. Scoot over.
Media.
Emily.
Wow. All right, so people came back in. Trump gave his speech. We're going to cover the speech in a different segment, of course. And then, of course, the fireworks. Now, mixed reviews from the fireworks. Actually, a lot of people thought the fireworks looked lousy. Brianna Joy Gray actually said, got to give credit, the fireworks look pretty good. So here's some of the fireworks. Those look kind of nice. It was a very, very chaotic finish. Very chaotic finish, which really tested the strength of the material of the pants of Brett Baer and Brian Kilmeade and Sean Hannity on Fox News here. Here they are reacting to the finale of the fireworks show.
Oh my goodness!
We have just witnessed the largest fireworks display in the United States history. It's a new record that it broke the Guinness Book of World Records for 851,000 fireworks. It was all the way around this entire
Sean,
place.
can I take you in my mouth right now, Sean?
You can see it for blocks.
I've always loved you, Sean.
You know, what's so amazing about this, there's one part of the story. You spoke to President Trump. I spoke to President Trump.
Oh, here we go.
At the time, we're being told, it might rain until 2, 3. He said to me, I don't care if it's 2 a.m. I don't care if it's 4 a.m. And I'm thinking, you're still going to come. And God, I have a phrase that I use with him. I tell him all the time. I said, God loves Donald Trump because it worked out perfectly.
God bless America.
God loves Donald Trump.
Oh,
God
yeah,
bless
it all worked out
America.
perfectly. That looked perfect, didn't it?
It was a seamless weekend.
Yeah.
Seamless weekend. I'm sorry. It is just so gay. The whole thing is just so gay. You cannot tell me this is not a movement driven by repressed sexual love for a caricature of an alpha male. You cannot tell me that at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it because I don't know how else to best analyze it. It's my job to tell you the truth as I see it. That's the truth as I see it. This is some gay shit right here. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but there is something wrong with processing it in this unhealthy a manner. But after all that, God bless Donald Trump. God loves Donald Trump. It all worked out so perfectly. Yeah, no, that was a perfect weekend right there.
Stop
People
the
going to
landing.
the hospital with heat stroke, hailstorms coming down in Mount Rushmore, people evacuated for storms coming out, then coming back in. You didn't actually have the fireworks show until after midnight. I think Trump gave his speech at 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
He gave
the 5th, technically, yeah.
Yeah, technically it was the July 5th fireworks show, but there it is. That is Happy Birthday, America. It was actually kind of a fitting weekend given the state of things right now. That just about matches, I think, the overall mood and functionality of the country as it turns 250 years old. And this is why I like just staying home, minding my own business, being left alone.
Do you think most events are this poorly managed, Keaton? Is that what you believe the world outside is like? You're like, you know the backstory of the Merchant House Museum in New York? You're like the old ladies from the Merchant House Museum. They basically became shut-ins, and the whole world changed around them. So that by the time they died in the 30s, they'd been young women in the mid-19th century. They only had a cousin who was still alive. This is on 4th Street in New York City. And it was like a perfect time capsule of the 19th century. So she donated it as a museum. You're going to wind up like that. You're going to wind up like the Merchant House Museum ladies.
As I said, most events are some version of this.
That's
some
not
version
true.
of this.
That is
some
not
version
true.
of this.
Okay,
Hot,
this
sticky,
is
it's inconvenient.
this
How do
is
you
what
get there? How do you get out of there? The traffic.
This is what I will
give
give you. I don't like mass public events.
Yeah.
Like sites and attractions can be cool. I am with you on that. I don't like this kind of thing.
Yeah, this kind of
like I
fair
generally
thing.
won't go to these like public concerts in Central Park, like things like that.
Yeah.
I agree usually suck a lot more than people make it out that they're going to be.
Exactly. You're
Like
always
unless you
disappointed.
watch Shakespeare in the Park, I've never gone for that reason.
Right. You're going to stand there all day. Listen. The Merchant of Venice is not that interesting a play to watch that you're going to stand out there for 10 hours.
It's better
and
red.
Exactly. It's better red in the air conditioning. You can take a break. You can look back over a line and make sure you understand it. You're going to stand out like you can stand outside
Been
online
several
for 10
film
hours to get a
adaptations.
ticket. Yeah, there's movies you can watch. Yeah, exactly. No, these events are never
No, that
worth the
I'm
hype.
with you. That I'm with you about.
Yeah.
I almost never go to concerts for that reason.
Yeah. No,
Dude,
to get in and get out is a nightmare.
It's ridiculous. Going back to when I'm 15, almost every concert I've ever gone to, I've gone with the same guy. I'm going with Vinny to Rush. I went with Vinny to Roger Waters. I went with Vinny to Yes. Like, because he's the one who brings it up to me. Like, hey, you want to go to a concert? It's
Well,
not
when you go to
something that
Madison
would
Square
occur to me
Garden,
on my own.
When you go to the Garden, it's not bad because when
not-
it's out,
it's
you
not
step
this
out
kind
and
of a
you're in the city.
situation.
Right. You
Yeah.
step out of the Garden, you're back in the city just like you are anyplace else. But like if you were to go, like if they were playing at MetLife Stadium in Jersey, that's a nightmare. That's an absolute nightmare. Getting there is a nightmare.
Yeah,
Parking
yeah.
there is a nightmare. Getting out of there is a nightmare.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
horrible. It's horrible. For
That-
what? For 2
that I'm
hours
with
of
you
music,
on.
you're talking about
That I'm
8
with you.
hours
Yes.
of just,
I agree.
just exhausting ordeal. Yeah.
However, okay, so you got two things here. As far as the state fair part goes, if this had not been handled by incompetent, corrupt morons, that's not a bad concept for a
Right.
DC 250th celebration. If it had been done by capable, intelligent people who are not
Cultured
just gonna,
people? Yeah.
gonna give out no bid contracts to their buddies who are actually gonna get into. So what do you have at a state fair? Because what that guy's saying, he was right. Like if you're gonna do America's State Fair, it's not a bad theme, but you
Right, of
got to
course.
make it like a state fair on
Right.
a grand scale rather than something that got slapped together at the last minute with a couple of 2x4s
Yeah.
and the few vendors who didn't see what a disaster this was going to be and agreed to be a part of
Crops
it.
that they grow in Georgia. Yeah, no, that's what people want to see. That's what people
Yeah,
wanna
yeah,
see. They want
but-
to see
but
that
you're-
50 times. They want to see 50
Right,
schlocky,
50 of those.
half-assed exhibits.
Right.
With AI artwork.
You would have had to plan this years out. You would have had to have an organizing committee. You would have had to hire capable people to put it together. You would have gotten some people from Broadway who would have worked with set designers and local committees at the state level. It would have taken, what's the word? Competence. It would have taken competence in planning based on the fact that you almost killed an entire chorus line on that
Yeah.
stage. I'm betting they slapped this together in a few months with whoever was willing to be a part of it and didn't see this disaster coming. Because whenever you have a disaster like this, there are a lot of red flags in the planning. And I bet you anyone with half a brain pulled out. You just never heard about it. And these are the people who went ahead with this cockamamie scheme. As far as the big event, yeah, that looks like a total nightmare, but that's what I would expect from these people. Like what you showed, that graphic, died of trust the plan. Yeah, I wouldn't go to any kind of public event being planned by these psychos. They're not capable of planning an event on that scale. Anything like that you go to that they're in charge of is going to be inherently dangerous because they're just not competent enough. And they're not going to hire people who are competent enough to manage events like that in a way that you can be safe attending them.
Yeah, for sure. How's the sound over there? I see some people saying on YouTube there's no sound. Some people saying there is. What's going on with that? That's weird.
I mean, obviously my sound's coming through. You're hearing me. Is there no
yeah.
sound totally?
On Rumble, they're not complaining. Let's see. Yeah, no. See, it's playing on my phone.
That's weird because we've been having weird things where like some people don't hear you, but they hear me, or vice versa.
Well, that's just in the StreamYard. That's just in the StreamYard. Yeah, people are saying it's all good. It was choppy for a second. Now they're saying refresh. So, yeah, so now they're saying it's fine.
Oh,
Yeah, it's fine
okay.
on my end.
All right.
All right. Could be
Aight.
could be a StreamYard issue. Could be a Rumble Studio issue. Although Rumble, nobody was complaining about Rumble. So, Bob of Atlantis on Rumble says everyone who uses YouTube is dumb. There we go. All right, so now we're good. All right, let's take some super chats and Rumble rants. Vienticus Prime says everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so you don't comply. Thank you, Vienticus.
Hang on, we're way beyond the number.
Oh, yeah. There we go. We are up over 666 in the like column, too. Just made it. There we go.
They're on tour right now.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Their 50th anniversary tour, right?
They're on their 50th anniversary. Yep.
Yep.
I just saw them a couple years ago. I was like,
Huh. All right. Yeah, that's right. You saw them with the what's his name? The Motley Jew.
So I'm with the Motley Jew. He invited me to this one. I was like, I wasn't even sure I'd be in the country.
That's right. That's right. Oh, they're saying the sound is not in sync on YouTube. Well, then we can't do anything about that. Just refresh it. Some people seem to say it's all right if you refresh it. Yeah, but nothing we can do about that. Bear with us at this time. Congressman Butthole. I love the music you guys play at the start of the show. Well, thank you.
That's all him.
Abiding says Corn Pop ran a stupid crew at the Big A during the 1985 Breeders' Cup, scoring $6,700 in discarded winners. Last week's final race at Aqueduct is an end of era for racetrack scavengers. Thank you, Abiding.
Listen,
Appreciate
man,
that.
you write the Corn Pop Chronicles, and we'll give you a couple free ads.
Yeah, the Corn Pop Chronicles. Yes, exactly. The Corn Pop Memoirs, whatever you want to call them. Vienticus, is it Jewy July? That's right. It's Jewy July. Thank you, Vienticus. Appreciate it. Goy maxing, baby. Yeah, goy maxing. That's what we're going to call this episode, goy maxing. Keaton, since you are in a Jew mood, why can't you celebrate Independence Day like Neil Sedaka used to do? That's right. Good one. RPJ Lombardo, long-time listener, first-time caller. Settle down, Keat. You're wrong. Give us this day. Happy 4th of Goy Lie. Ha. Good one. JVL, thanks for the $4.99. 100% on the bicentennial.
Yep.
Pins, t-shirts, hats, posters, jingles all year long. Beer can art was especially memorable.
It was everywhere.
I believe it.
It was wall to wall.
I believe it. Vienticus, new Howard Lutnick, the U.S. Commerce Secretary, worked back channels with FIFA in an effort to get U.S. striker Folarin Balogun's red card ban overturned. Yeah, I saw something like that Trump made a phone call to them. Hold on. Wait, I guess we don't have our mods tonight. I just got to, how do I do this? How do I, yeah, there we go. One of the bots is just been
that
dismissed.
shit, the 2028.
Yeah. Professor Brown Note, I came here for an argument. No, you didn't. Sure, BJG last show might be a left to Michael Tracy, but damn, these Jacobin jerk-offs. Yeah, I'm going to cover that tomorrow. On Jimmy's show. The versus the DSA guy.
That'll be good over there.
Yeah, because it's a force to vote story, show. Tofu Dregs coming to a construction near you. Thank you, Vienticus. Appreciate that. Sunrise. That guy was so funny. I mean, that was just so hilarious. And you couldn't. I mean, you couldn't write a better satire of a DSA guy. I DM'd Brianna that. That's like this guy who finally, after the DSA candidates win, they're getting more publicity now this past week than they had in the previous decade combined. And he acts like it's this imposition to be asked on that show, because he's working on a 7-part series about 16th century Portuguese colonialism. He literally says that. He's like, yeah, I've had a very busy day.
Did he actually say that?
He says, I've had a very busy day. I just finished part 6 of a 7-part series on Indonesia in the 16th century and Portuguese colonialism. Oh, so you didn't have time to finish talking to her because you were on a 7-part series. I mean, you couldn't make it up. Like, literally, if you were writing a satire of a DSA guy, you would not come up with that. Yeah, it was great. New Lebanese documentary, Do You Love Me, at Metrograph, New York City, July 10th, 2026. Oh, there you go.
You know what I really want to do? I put this on X. So at the 92nd Street Y, they're showing a documentary called We Met at Grossinger's. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's like a legendary Jewish resort in the Catskills. Back in the day, all of these like middle class and upper middle class families would go for the summer to these resorts in the Catskills, and there were a lot that were specifically Jewish. And Grossinger's was the most famous of them. You would, all of these comedians of the era, Milton Berle, Jackie Mason, even actually Lenny Bruce, before he went another way, used to play at those resorts.
Right.
So showing that, I really okay. So now you got the AI glasses, which are basically like spyware, like you could just video without anybody knowing. I want to get the AI glasses, and I want to go to that wearing my No More Wars for Israel shirt. Yo, man, that will be content gold.
Yeah. Viantica says, I guess I was right when I said that it'd be a cold day in hell when people would be enjoying the 250th July 4th. It wasn't a cold day, just hell. Thank you, Viantica. IDF kills children. Thanks for the $5. Says, hello, everyone. We lead to ban Metsiza BPEC, director oral suctioning, and save the poor infants. Oh, you're talking about the, I know what you mean. Vienticus, is this a 4th of July celebration or memorial to the movie Tin Cup? Thank you. Someone should have drawn a sensuous kiss between Trump and Netanyahu on that whiteboard. Ron Contra says the revolution's got to have style. Kuznetsky Bassane says the Minnesota State Fair is great. Thank you, Kuznetsky Bassane. Fun fact, says Kawaii Cowboy, 250 is slang in Chinese for idiot. I've been having fun this weekend on Chinese socials wishing America happy 250. Thank you for that. Peter Monahan, Gator Pete, thank you for the donation, my friend. Sad I've been alive 66 years. Everyone focuses on how they are the true American, how effing patriotic they are. The only true American in this country are the Native American Indian. Everyone else is a genocidal immigrant. Thank you, Peter Monahan. Appreciate that. Extra says, yeah, Russ, your camera's way better. Lighting is good. It does. It looks good.
Yeah?
It looks cinematic.
Oh, well, I would love to not have to use that camera anymore, actually.
It looks
Because
cinematic.
it's a fucking pain in my ass.
You may need to like adjust the lighting a little bit. Like it's a touch dark, but it's perfectly clear.
Yeah,
Like
I can bring it up.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like it's perfectly clear.
How's that?
Good.
I just knocked it up a notch.
Yeah, there you go. It's a little better. Yeah, I like that. Mine is probably a little too bright too, with the white walls and everything. I really hope someone
you look very
keep back
pasty.
the baptism pool. Yeah, no, I do, especially with the white wall in back of me. All right. Why don't we move right on along?
Okay. Actually, that's a little too bright in my eyes. Okay. All right. As you might have heard, Zora Mamdani gave a speech here in New York where we were not plagued by hail. We didn't have to rush people out of events and back in. The fireworks went off on time. However, this commie mayor really discomfited some people with this speech. So this is not getting clipped, and I wanted to clip it just so you understand that the speech does all the platitudes about the greatness of the founders and the uniqueness of the American experiment. All that stuff is in there. It's not like one long excoriation of American history. It's exposing elements of American history that, frankly, he's not the first to talk about in this kind of a speech. But this was his opener.
Here at City Hall, as I sit behind George Washington's desk, alongside new Americans who came to this country, I cannot see all of America. But like so many who came before, I can see New York City. The city I see today looks very different than the one that greeted George Washington. In July of 1776, our city simmered under the yoke of oppression. The British had imposed a colonial rule so repressive that 250 years ago, 80 miles south, a small group of newspaper editors, farmers, and soldiers signed their names on a document declaring truths that feel self-evident now, but were revolutionary then, establishing the ideals our nation still strives to fulfill. The British did not take it well. War broke out, and that August, as the largest battle of the Revolutionary War unfolded in Brooklyn, batteries on Governor's Island took aim at British ships anchored just offshore. We were outgunned, we were outmanned, and we were soundly defeated. After only a few months, it appeared our fledgling attempt at democracy was on the precipice of collapse. But that night, with the moon overhead, thousands of our soldiers silently climbed into ferries and flat-bottom boats and escaped to Manhattan. The Continental Army survived to fight another day. Independence may have been declared in Philadelphia, but it was rescued in New York City. George Washington was the last to leave Brooklyn. As he waited at the river's edge, the sun beginning its rise, he would have looked out over New York City's waters and seen what so many have seen in the 250 years since, an opportunity to begin anew.
Okay, so we'll get to that schmuck. Okay, so all of the admiration of the American experiment. By the way, what he's describing there is usually known as the Battle of Long Island, because Brooklyn technically is part of Long Island. Yeah, right where the promenade is now in Brooklyn, one of the early battles of the Revolutionary War was fought. Washington had his headquarters in New York at one time. Washington's generals warned him not to try to defend New York because it's a series of islands and the British had the world's greatest navy. They told him it was indefensible, but he was basically fighting what we would today call a guerrilla war, where you're trying to wear down the enemy. So he decided to fight for it. And while obviously that worked as a long-term strategy, he almost lost the war right in that battle, because very quickly the British surrounded the American troops. What he's talking about, so fog actually came in overnight when the British had gone to their camps waiting to finish off the Americans in the morning, and they secretly sent for fishermen and ferrymen to come and quietly move the whole army off of Brooklyn. The British woke up. The American army was in Manhattan. There was actually a fighting retreat up Manhattan back to the mainland. So that's what he's talking about. So, okay, the whole speech was not about the darker sides of America, but yes, he got into that. So this is the section that is really driving the chuds into conniptions. There's C-SPAN clip this, so we'll just watch it through. It's about 5.5 minutes.
There is a term so often used to describe our nation and those who have shaped it: American exceptionalism. American exceptionalism, the conventional wisdom tells us, makes our freedom a little more free, is how we dug the Erie Canal and irrigated the West, is why children in faraway lands grow up dreaming of one day moving here. And yet the irony is that the story of America has so often been written by those who were told by others with power and influence and wealth that they were anything but exceptional. For generation after generation, we have been told that when the world has sent its people to our shores, it has not sent its best. It sent Puritans and Sikhs and Quakers and Muslims and Jewish people who were banished for praying the wrong way, worshiping the wrong gods, angering the wrong people. It sent peasants and serfs from slums and shtetls who were treated as less because they hardly owned clothes, let alone land. It sent immigrants from whom power was something someone else had. We are told that America is exceptional because we are richer, stronger, more powerful than everyone else. The truth, my friends, is that America is exceptional because here, nothing is fixed into place. The frontier may be closed, we may have walked on the moon, but the work of fulfilling the values first enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, that work endures, and it belongs to us all. It belongs to our newest Americans, those standing here with me today, all of whom were recently naturalized. Nearly a decade ago, I too felt what you feel, the joy of no longer being just a New Yorker, but an American too. You each hold a special power, the power to determine what America means. The powerful have always known their answer. America, in their view, is an arena of supremacy, where only a select few are allowed freedom, where not all are created equal. America, if you ask them, becomes less the more people it welcomes. America, they will tell you, belongs only to those with the right accent or the right shade of skin. The rest of us, they insist, should be grateful for merely being allowed to visit. How small they are, how weak, how unoriginal. At every moment in our past, those who led through exclusion and isolation have tried to win power and enrich themselves by turning us against one another. Division is the oldest trick in politics and the cheapest. But time and again, including 250 years ago, those forces of division have been vanquished by the forces of progress. As Thomas Paine once wrote, "This new world hath been the asylum for the persecuted lovers of civil and religious liberty. Hither have they fled." And yet today, too many of our leaders do not believe in a vision of this nation as an asylum for the persecuted, but rather as one that persecutes those seeking asylum. As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world One where children go to sleep hungry while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors before spiriting them away in unmarked vans. We see a nation whose immense wealth has been built by those with calloused, dirt-streaked hands, those who toil on factory floors and chisel into stone. And we see a nation that has allowed so much of that wealth to be held instead in the soft hands of a precious few. Yes, we see America in a health insurance industry that exploits the sick, but that is not all we see when we look for America. We see it too in the nurse who works a double shift and then stops on her way home to check on an ailing neighbor. Yes, we see America in corporate landlords for whom negligence is a business model. We see it too in the father who tucks his children into bed beneath a ceiling stained with leaks, who wakes before dawn to go to work and still believes his country can do better by his family. Yes, we see America when we spend our tax dollars on bombs and bailouts, when we sell our elections to the highest bidder. Yet we see it just as clearly in every American who still believes this country belongs to we, the people. We see America each time neighbors link arms with neighbors without asking how long they have lived here or what papers they have, as ICE invades our neighborhoods. We see America each time those young and old stand in the beating rain or the stifling heat to cast their ballots. We see America each time working people demand more, not just for themselves, but for their fellow Americans. There are some who respond to those who ask for more from America with a simple refrain. Love it or leave it, they say. But patriotism has never been about pretending our nation is without flaws. Patriotism is every act of righteous dissent. It is every march led under the heavy sun. It is every protest held a decade before its time. It is precisely because we love this nation that we will not leave it. After all, who loves America more than those who have sacrificed so much to make it free?
Okay. If you actually listen to what he's saying, if anything, I think it's a pretty conciliatory speech that does not reject the idea of American greatness, but argues that American greatness rests in its people and in its grandest ideas. Again, this is not a very unique formulation. This is not the first speech like this we've heard from a mainstream politician. Too many people have been left behind. I mean, it's the whole litany of workers. I mean, Reagan might have laid out that kind of a vision of America. We see it in the nurse that works 2 shifts at the hospital,
right,
and still makes time for her children when she comes home, right? Like these images are not new. What they did not like is that he points out that there are oligarchs hoarding wealth at the expense of the masses. That is where he deviated from the script that they would be comfortable with. But you have to look at who it is that's driving this meltdown, such as it is. So, Fox News. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani used America's 250th anniversary to sharply criticize the country, accusing the U.S. of allowing children to go hungry while billionaires and oligarchs gain more power. Was it like 1/5 of American children live in poverty? I think it's about 1/5. He said
oligarchs in quotes, like there are no real
yeah,
oligarchs.
like we don't
Yeah,
we don't
what
have
do you
any.
mean by that? Yeah.
He said America's wealth was built by working people with callous, dirt-streaked hands, while accusing so who do they think like rejecting that appeals to?
Yeah, no,
While accusing the country of allowing the wealth built by workers to be concentrated in the soft hands of a precious few. Yeah, this, if you want to see something hopeful, it's in that it's been so long since these people have been challenged that they don't realize that they're advertising for him by laying out what he said. There are not a lot of people who are going to read that and not like it. The idea that, the 70 to dead demographic that watches Fox, I guess. But by its very nature, they are not going to be a very long lasting viewership. Ben Norton, everything Mamdani said here is 100% correct. The U.S. is an undemocratic, exploitative oligarchy. Of course it is. Do you feel represented? Do you feel did you want war with Iran? Trump's own base didn't want war with Iran. Didn't make a difference. You have a democracy. You feel you have a democracy. Of course, Fox News is angry. It's run by the Nepo baby son of the billionaire oligarch Rupert Murdoch. Now we're getting down to the matter. Let's see a few of the people who really didn't like this, starting with our illustrious commander-in-chief.
Here given to us by the God who made us, and those rights shall not be infringed. Americans believe in self-reliance. We look at success with envy not, and I say that some people are envious and some people are not. We are not, but with admiration, and we earn it, and we will always earn it, and we will always respect it.
Okay, so let's see Donald Trump's idea of earning it. Trump claimed he turned a small $1 million loan from his father into an empire. The New York Times says it was more like $60.7 million in loans. This is from CNBC. As a presidential candidate, Trump had repeatedly said his father gave him a very small $1 million loan. A sweeping new investigative report published by the New York Times on Tuesday, however, says Trump's father actually lent his son at least $60.7 million. The Times reports that the amount would be worth $140 million in today's dollars, and that much of it was never repaid. Oh, I wonder why this guy does not want you looking too much at the hoarded wealth of the rich and wants to paint a picture of the wealthy as having earned their wealth. I wonder why Trump's trying to sell you on this idea that the wealth shouldn't be the object of your anger. People who point out the way that wealth is being hoarded, you should be angry at them. And hey, man, what's he doing with the presidency? Trump pulled in at least $2 billion after returning to the White House. A lot of it on dodgy crypto scams that cost his gullible followers everything. 80 to 90% collapse in these meme coins he told them to buy. Or how about this guy, Elon Musk, heir to an emerald mine. Grew up on an emerald mine, this guy. Mamdani has built nothing. He's a taker, never a maker. Oh, really? Mehdi Hassan, a taker, you say? Pulls out a headline. We've covered this a few times. Elon Musk's business empire is built on $38 billion in government funding. What happened? I thought we don't believe in welfare. Thought that's socialism. It's socialism. Why are we giving $38 billion to Elon Musk? I bet you watching, if someone gave you $38 billion, I bet you could be successful in business with $38 billion. I think most people could, right? $38 billion. That's sad. This degenerate pig needs to be deported. Now, I don't know Gad Saad's background. I don't know that he came from wealth. I know he's being propped up by it. Cuckturd, nothing to see here. Just four dudes that came out of nowhere, see things exactly as Elon Musk does, and that are force-fed into our feeds, right? Who the hell would listen to this guy? What does Gad Saad say that interests anybody? But Elon Musk boosts him, the freaking literally mentally regarded Nick Shirley. I mean, literally short bus guy, Nick Shirley. Spencer Pratt, who we're going to see a little more of in this segment. Who is that guy on the bottom?
That's I forget his name.
Oh, what's his name? I know
Van
who this.
Swole or something like
that.
Van
Yeah. Matt Von Swole. You're right.
Yeah.
So
he did
man.
some good journalism when the hurricanes hit, but he just got enticed by all the praise he was getting from the MAGA-sphere, so he just went full hack.
Right. So this is who's telling you what to think. In the end, it's Elon propping these people up. Who would pay attention to these people? I was never taught America is great because it's richer, bigger. Really? You never heard that, Matt? Really? You never heard that? I'm not saying that's everybody's narrative, but you're not aware of a narrative like that in this country, especially now. Given how Mamdani framed a lot of this within an overall modern conservative movement that's very hostile to immigrants and newcomers. Like you didn't see what he was getting at there? You didn't get that? I heard about the light bulb, airplanes, movies, the telephone, rock, jazz, basketball, the internet, nuclear power, Ali, Frazier, Thoreau, King, Lincoln, Twain, Chandler, the Hoover Dam, and the Fender Stratocaster. There's like you fed an AI all of the slop from John Hughes of the 80s and told it to write about it like Matt Taibbi. And that's what you would get. We're gonna start calling these people Zooksers or something, Gen Xers who turn into boomers, because Matt Taibbi is certainly among them, and also a trust fund kid by his own admission. He doesn't hide this; he's very open about it. Sometimes uses it to try to slam other people who come from privilege, whose politics he doesn't like Graham Plattner. I basically am Graham Plattner, a Northeasterner of means who went to high school with sons and daughters of rock stars and CIA chiefs, but also has a few oyster shucking scars. So Matt has worked some, manual labor jobs, but, he's very open about being a child of privilege. You know what's funny, though? This whole very nostalgia referencing American popular culture and leading intellectual lights, which frankly, I don't think Mamdani's speech negated any of that. I think, if anything, it pointed out, as many previous speakers have, yes, there are good things about America, but it is often obscured a dark underbelly. And he had the temerity to talk about that dark underbelly. And a lot of the things that Matt is laying out there were invented by people who were discriminated against, particularly in the cultural sphere. Like what are you arguing? That his portrayal of people who came here from different backgrounds and cultures weren't discriminated against? Because Matt had a complete crash out about this, talking about, no, they came here to work their asses off. Yes, they did. And they faced discrimination. Like what? That didn't happen? I mean, he mentions in his speech the Irish. What? The Irish? As Matt, I am sure, is very well aware, you can find portrayals of the Irish in the 19th century drawn as apes, as gorillas. This was Thomas Nast. That's where we get the word nasty from. Was known for doing these kinds of caricatures. like what are we talking about here? But it's very interesting, man. I guess it's a trust fund kid to fall back on these kind of tropes of American nostalgia so that nobody looks too closely at your privilege or something. I don't know. It's interesting because Spencer Pratt almost had the same exact take as Matt Taibbi. It's very weird. So here's a little bit of his take.
We all had to sit and watch that vile commie mayor sit on the wrong side of our founding fathers' desk to try and lecture us about our own history. Notice how the communist always attacks your history. The communist must attack your history. Why? Because history is what anchors you. It's what makes us attached to something. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. History breeds an almost irrational attachment to things, an attachment that is more powerful than anyone can imagine. Erasing history is how you demoralize people, how you unmoor them and detach them from their society so you can take it from them and rewrite it in your image. Mamdani's ancestors never bled for this country. He has no history here, so he has no attachment to our home. He has no place to rewrite our history and lecture us about what our country stands for. So celebrate today. Show some American pride. Honor your history. Raise your flag. Raise a finger and say, fuck you, communists. This is our home, and you can't have it. Today we celebrate our Independence Day. God bless America.
Wow.
Fuck you, commie. That's easy for him to say. And I'm just going to point something out. Every accusation is a confession. It's very interesting that as you're trying to make an argument for nostalgia, you're actually making the case for how much it functions as an instrument of brainwashing and propagandizing people. He says nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Yeah, you're onto something there. You're onto something there. You're painting a portrait of a place that didn't exist. That's nostalgia. Sure, it existed for certain people, for certain privileged classes. Like I agree. Like to me, what distinguishes woke from reasonable historical revisionism, I think there is a reasonable. What do you want to be stuck in? When I was a kid, we still played cowboys and Indians, man. That's like, would you want to see Israelis one day playing IDF and Palestinians? I mean, that's basically what that was. When I was a little kid, you could still get that at the supermarket. You had like the cardboard headband with the feathers and with the fake feathers. Yeah, I think it's good that we've revised how we look at those things. Where it becomes woke is you can't do Shakespeare. You can't read Thoreau. You can't appreciate Arthur Miller because they were white men, right? Like that's where it gets batshit. But that's certainly not what Mamdani was saying at all. He lionizes George Washington, right? Along with Barack Obama, right? He went easier on him than Barack Obama did even. And hey, another criminal trust fund con artist. Spencer Pratt busted. Hid $15 million real property trust from official disclosures. After Legal, that's the name of the outlet that broke this, reported Pratt failed to disclose his trust, Pratt amended it just 3 days before the election, but he's still hiding funds he received from his GoFundMe scam. After the Palisades fire, he claimed he lost everything. One of Spencer and his wife Heidi Montag's friends set up a GoFundMe that collected over $143,000 in donations from their fans. So listen, I'm just going to say, if you're that stupid, you deserve to be ripped off. The truth is, when the fires broke out, Spidey, cute, escaped to their $6 million second home, a beachfront mansion near Montecito in Santa Barbara County. They continued to live a lavish lifestyle as documented on their own TikTok accounts. I dug deep and found that Pratt had a wealthy grandfather, William Chauncey Pratt Jr., the wealthy founder and CEO of Kelly Clark Inc., the largest food distribution company in the Western United States. So the article goes on to talk about how he had a real estate trust that he passed on to his son, Spencer Pratt's father, and then the father passed it on to him and his siblings. So he's got about $15 million in a real estate trust, in addition to a second home of $6 million. And these motherfuckers put out a GoFundMe. So isn't it funny that these are the people that are trying to get you very angry about a speech that ultimately, frankly, was not even all that radical by comparison to similar speeches that have been made by other politicians, only because he dared to speak out about the hoarding of wealth and the history of wealthy oligarchic elements in society trying to divide workers. He doesn't use that word, but that's what he's talking about. Workers from each other, and to get us to blame the outsider, the immigrant. I've said this before. Having traveled a fair amount, I've been very fortunate to be able to do that. The thing that America has going for it that no place else has is the combination of cultures and the combination of talents and ideas and the creativity that comes from that mix of elements and the unlikely combinations that it creates. That's where a lot of the things Taibbi is laying out there come from, like jazz. That's where that comes from. All of these different this multiplicity of cultures all living in the same place. No place on earth has that. Even though we're blind to it, you go to these places like China, like Vietnam. Yeah, there are 54 ethnicities in Vietnam, but their history is in Vietnam. They're still from Vietnam. They're not from a completely different place. Like, yes, they have distinct cultural differences, not like that. Not like where you got a country with people from Africa, people from India, people from Korea, people from China, people from Poland. It's not like that any place else on planet Earth. The thing that these conservatives, generally conservatives, not always, will tell you is the worst thing about America is actually the best thing about America. It's the only thing that really makes America unique. And New York has the realization of that ideal, which is not to say New York is an ideal society by any means. It realizes that element of American uniquity, and it realizes that ideal more than any place else in the country, which means it realizes an ideal of people from all different backgrounds being able to live together in harmony and prosperity better than any place else on planet Earth. And that is a very hopeful vision of humanity. That is what Mamdani is speaking to there. And it's very revealing that the people speaking against it or trying to get working people, that's who their target is, angry about it, are a bunch of trust fund rich kids with criminal financial interests. All of them. Every single one I showed you. I mean, not like Taibbi, but yeah. I don't mean he has criminal intent, but all of these people with that kind of background, they do not want to be challenged. Even somebody like Taibbi, who is more aware of class divide, in the end, man, people are class loyal. In the end, he's a rich kid who's now a rich man, and he doesn't like the sound of that. He doesn't like being called out that way. He takes it personally, as do they all.
Well, yeah, he came from, I don't know if he's literally trustful. I don't know if you said that or if you were talking about Spencer Pratt, if I misheard it. But I don't know that Taibbi's a trust fund kid, but he definitely had some money. He went to...
He grew up with money. And he
says he grew up with money.
Doesn't hide
he's
it.
open
Like,
about
this
that.
isn't a reveal. He's very open about that. It's just amazing. He didn't used to be this blind to his own privilege. Like, even as he says, yeah, I grew up that way, he parrots the kinds of views that you'd have to be a rich kid to have. And that didn't used to be the case. I didn't used to feel that way about his writing.
No, I think his writing was always great. You know, I think there's something about, I don't know, maybe Substack, maybe you cater to a pseudo-intellectual form of MAGA now. You know, maybe that's where the Substackers go, you know. MAGA who like to think of themselves as a little more sophisticated than the people at the July fair, right? Like I was saying to you earlier, MAGA with a body mass index of less than 32.
Yeah,
right?
it's the non-Oompa Loompa contingent of MAGA.
MAGA whose shit doesn't mysteriously float at the top of the bowl for reasons they haven't figured out yet and should probably get checked out. Maybe that's what that's the audience. Who knows? But I mean,
there really is no audience for what he's doing. That's what we see in his YouTube, man. Like, yo, that's a famous dude, and nobody wants to watch your shit because anyone dumb enough to share those politics doesn't want them wrapped up in some kind of pseudo Hunter Thompson-esque, vaguely literary package.
Well, you know, look, I mean, the whole thing, I mean, this is why the whole 4th of July thing is just so exhausting, really, because, you know, it's all people insisting that you feel a certain way about the country. Like, what the hell do you care, really?
Right.
You know, how people talk about America, how you describe America. Oh, you insulted America on her birthday. First of all, it was a pretty milquetoast speech. Like, fucking ChatGPT could have written that speech. Like, it wasn't even like
right.
a provocative
That's what I'm
speech.
saying.
Yeah, like it was boring. I
like,
mean, it was,
like when I saw the reaction, I thought it was going to be much more.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I had a feeling Mamdani would go exactly that route, which he did. And I had a feeling that people would melt down about it anyway, which they did, right? Like, you could see that coming. And this is the thing. I mean, we'll get more into this when we do the Trump speech next. But, Republicans have been calling Democrats communists since I was born, and probably long before I was born. So you're kind of the boy who cried wolf here. Like, does anybody really? I mean, who really believes this anymore? It's just, it's really kind of.
And honestly, who cares? Because what's in capitalism for the average person at this point? Like, people notice that they're broke. You can't trick them about that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. All right. You want to take some Rumble rants and super chats?
All right. All right, Vienticus Prime. Tofu dregs coming to a construction near you.
Tofu dregs.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Vienticus, I'm pretty sure there were plenty of stars and stripes there. Stars from the heat and stripes in everyone's underwear. Well, there usually are with that diet. Peter Monahan, Gator Pete, great heads up on Revolution Change. Great show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun. Bring you to Greenya. I don't know, Keaton. It's kind of like Atlantic City Boardwalk, a slate of cratering Trump businesses, white trash on parade, cardboard freak shows. All we need is ketchup-flavored saltwater taffy.
Yeah.
Vienticus Prime, I'm starting to like this timeline. I mean, it is kind of funny. French Laundry, get Kurt Metzger now, please.
He's on tomorrow.
He's on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Kenda Gates, thank you. Congressman Butthole, the irony is so rich at this fair event. Yeah, I mean, it could have worked. Not with these guys, though. Vienticus Prime, if all those people that waited out in the African American History Museum were from South Africa, I'm sure they would have felt at home.
Exactly.
Muppy the Puppy, compare the 250-year celebration to the funeral for Khomeini. If this isn't reflective of the actual reality, I don't know what is. Yeah, man, it's not sustainable. The rotten flesh, everything we are forced to live through will ultimately forge us into a civilization that prematurely hangs people that instigate violence. Things are getting ugly out there. I'm doing a piece about the recent EU ruling on sharing RT. That's pretty crazy. Like, honestly, that puts the kibosh on any thought I would have of living in Europe. Steve Polychronopoulos, 2060. Russ, put Zorin 18.1 on your old PC. You won't regret. What is that? Is that an editing software? What is that?
I don't know. I never heard of it.
Darius King. It was Dennis Prager with his propaganda university who tried to argue the benefits of slavery to people.
Okay.
Yeah, but was it Prager? Or was it one of the people working at Prager? Like, somebody laid this out. Like, you're talking about the animation.
The cartoon, right, yeah.
Which we did something about. But somebody actually, like, wrote something that was laying out, like, yeah, well, or was it like they were trying to change the textbooks in Florida? Was that it? I know there's like a Florida tie-in.
Yeah, I forget.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, they wanted to make it like they learned work skills.
Right.
Comrade might have been. Comrade Cranky. No, I think it was like I think you're right. Like, I think it might have been PragerU rewriting their textbooks in Florida or something. Comrade Cranky, U.S. Israel versus the whole world. It's getting that way. Vienticus Prime. So was it called the Freedom Bunker because they were free to be gay or retarded or gay-tarded? I don't know, man, but I bet you there were a few holes in the walls of the bathroom stalls by the time they left. Mark Pugliese. In the old days, I saw Henry V with Kevin Kline in the Pari. It was pretty awesome. You know what I saw Kevin Kline in live? Cyrano. And he was very good. Louise Brooks, Keaton on the, he trained with the RSC, Kevin Kline. In addition to Juilliard. He went to Juilliard, then he trained with the RSC. Keaton on the road, episode 1. It's hot. This sucks. I'm going home.
Exactly.
Yeah, it wouldn't be much of a channel.
No.
Me shoot Skeet, super sticker. Dude, I put up the video of Times Square empty. It's really like very on the spectrum on YouTube. It doesn't even matter what kind of channel you have. Like I literally went to Times Square and filmed how empty it is. Well, it's not empty.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark Pugliese, James Earl Jones as King Lear was amazing too. Yeah. Peter Monahan, Gator Pete, want to see something amazing? Go to the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. I was on tour with the Titanic Expo there, and I spent 4 days exploring. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I would get into. Keaton on the road. I'm here in Cambodia at the Genocide Museum. So look, I'm hot and sweaty. And if you've seen one genocide museum, you've seen them all.
Yeah, exactly.
It was hot and sweaty. Not like Angkor Wat, man. That was brutal. Ryan Spence, that DSA guy, confirms Russ's CIA op theory. Hey, man, it's not my theory. I actually got turned on to that by our own audience. And then I went and did the research, and they were right. Master Yoda, no one wants to fight or die for Israel. Stop waiting for someone else to save your family. Join the American Communist Party at acp.us/join/. Gonna drive that one person crazy. Join because the future belongs to the working class. There is no forward slash.
Front slash.
The Anticus Prime, Russ's lighting gives him a sort of Senator Rourke vibe from Sin City. So that went over Kitten's head, but I got you. I
know the movies.
Mr. Back to DMV Friday. ARL Nat Sem is next door neighbor. USMC War Memorial, 1 block downhill. Daily run across Memorial Bridge and around Trump's Arch to watch fireworks off balcony. Locals use hood to park and walk to Metro DC. That makes sense. A lot of people do that in New York too. Comrade Cranky, I made a skydive on July 4th, 1976. I landed on my feet, not my face. Well, not like that fella. Not like that other fella. Ugly old broad says stuff. I like the camera, Russ. You don't look like a pale-faced Custer ready to wear Arrow shirts or Ghost Swayze now. Color, baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that camera kind of sucks too. I've wanted to ditch it for a while. So if this works, that's one less thing for me to deal with when I set up. Shush, Russ, I thought you were lying about Times Square being dead, but I saw your video and you were right. You convinced me socialism doesn't work and Mamdani is a failure. Yeah, I mean, I expected that. You got the people who are like, funny what happens when you elect a socialist. Yeah, that's what it is. Funny what happens when you got $6 gas, moron.
Yeah.
D-Pood. For your peasant mind segment should add to soundboard. I want you to get mad. Say I'm a goddamn human being and my life has value from network. Maybe because I just got home from BN Criterion sale. It came to mind. What is that?
They have the Criterion 50% off. Yeah, they've been doing that for a long time, actually. Back when I was there, they had that. Back when I worked there, they had those Criterion sales.
God forgive the bastards, Wallen. I knew Dan Denver in college. He handled himself poorly on BJG, and he's behind a nonprofit claiming to fund actions against Israeli arms manufacturers.
I listened to that guy's podcast like years and years and years ago for like a couple episodes.
See, this is the thing with DSA. Like, I wouldn't last 5 minutes in a DSA meeting because of those people.
I would just get kicked out.
Exactly. I mean, we should probably go just to hit it camera us getting kicked out. The Roburn Network. The desk is backwards, and he's saying everything short of naming individuals who sold out the country. Speech is crap. So the backward desk really bothers you, huh? That really bothers you. You don't feel that the country's been sold out? You feel good about where the country is? You're not bothered by a president that's made $2 billion largely off ripping off his own followers since he got in office? You feel good about that? You don't feel that there are enemies of the people in charge of the country? You feel good about Miriam Adelson's golf cart review there while the people were baking under the sun? Miriam's getting driven around in the golf cart.
What did they say about they made up some story about how it was 54 degrees in City Hall too. Remember that? They're like, yeah, there's a report that says
I didn't
in
even see
certain
that.
places of City Hall it's 54 degrees, despite it being 78 degrees was the minimum, that you were allowed to have the air conditioner set to. Which is just, I mean, first of all, that's impossible. How could it be 54 degrees inside City Hall on a 100-degree day? It's like, it can't be.
Right. It
can't
way.
be. Like,
There's
wait,
no way.
what part of fucking City Hall is 54 degrees? Would you stick a thermometer up Jessica Tish's pussy? Maybe that's 54 degrees. But other than that, like, there's no way you can get a building cool enough to 54 degrees on a 100-degree day. It's
I've
not
never
possible.
experienced that in any government building ever. Not ever.
On a 100-degree day, I don't think you could, if you wanted to, get it down to 54 degrees.
Probably not, but they wouldn't do it anyway. Like they never set the AC like that.
Yeah, no. All right.
You're only going to feel that in stores where they're trying to get customers in, and very high end hotels.
Yeah, but even that 54 is ridiculously low. Be like 60 something.
It would be
the
60
lowest.
something.
Yeah, 60 something. 54 is like not even doable. All right. Let's move right on along here, shall we? All right. Okay, so ringing in the 4th of July was, of course, Donald Trump giving a speech, a couple of speeches, actually, one at Mount Rushmore and then one in Washington, D.C. So let's take a look at both of these speeches here, just a few highlights. Of course, communism was a big theme of the night here. Now that, 3 DSA members have won primaries, now all of a sudden, communist revolution is upon us. This is their new midterm Hail Mary here.
This magnificent anniversary, we see our American identity under a renewed attack. A generation after we fought and won the Cold War against the menace of communism, there is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our land, including from newcomers to our country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success. These are not mere political disagreements like differences over taxes or regulations. Communism.
Except that's literally what it is. Like the DSA are barely even socialists, much less communists. Like they're barely socialist.
Right.
It literally is a disagreement over taxes and regulation. What do you think Medicare for All is? It's about taxes, right? It's about taxes and regulation. What do you think about minimum wage? A minimum wage law is not communism. You're not transferring the means of production to the states. You're just imposing a regulation about how much workers are supposed to get paid by the bosses who still own the company. Like, it's so ridiculous. It is so juvenile. It is so fucking stupid. It is just an embarrassment that this is what passes for like serious discourse in America. It really is. Really is unbelievable. Anything to add?
Frankly, this is one thing I kind of in a roundabout way do agree with Batya on. You're not going to hear those words out of my mouth very often. Most of the people in DSA are pretty privileged white kids. She's misdiagnosing the reason they're in the DSA. I think Peter Turchin is why I want to interview him, has the right diagnosis. Yeah, these are the same kind of people who were fighting us tooth and nail in the Sanders campaign. They were all hillbots. These people were all fucking hillbots 10 years ago. The system is not working for them anymore, so they've turned on it. That's what radicalized them. They no longer have the stake in the system that they historically have. These are the same motherfuckers that 10 years ago were telling you, yeah, change is slow, but the arc of the universe bends towards justice. And, in stages, we're going to get to Medicare for all. These are the same people. But now there's no job waiting for them. There's no house waiting for them. There's no 2-car garage waiting for them. So now all of a sudden they're all Marxists.
Right, but they're not. I mean, like I said, they're
right.
basic,
What
they're,
I'm saying,
they're barely socialists. Yeah. They're barely even socialists, much less communists.
Well, and that's why, because it doesn't come naturally to them.
Right,
it's not their real inclination. It's something they've been driven into by circumstances.
A mortal threat to American liberty. We can only lose the midterms if we allow ourselves to lose the midterms.
Can only lose the midterms
foolish,
if we allow everyone to vote.
And unwise. But if we terminate the filibuster, as we should do, and immediately vote for the Save America Act, then we will not lose an election.
We make it difficult for anyone who's not stupid enough to be here tonight, like all of you, to vote. Then we can win the midterms. That was one highlight here. Here, Trump traveled all the way to South Dakota to read a half-baked Red Scare speech straight out of 1950.
Communism is the enemy of free people everywhere in the world. Never works. It's the enemy of the Constitution. Above all, it's the enemy of July 4th, 1776. It is the enemy indeed. Even while the radicals and extremists attack our incredible history at every turn, they are silent on the miserable history of communism itself, because it never worked. Thousands of years, if you look at it, under different names. Under
thousands of years.
Ideology.
Look at, he catches himself. Like, I'm surprised he's learned enough to catch himself in that bullshit. He realizes once he says thousands of years, he's like, oh, wait a minute. It hasn't been around thousands of years. How do I get out of this?
If you look at it under different names, under somewhat different ideologies and systems, that system has led to more death and destruction than any system ever tried.
Lands on his feet. Don't worry. The audience doesn't know the difference.
100 million people.
They're all
just in the
stupid.
last
They don't know
century
anything.
alone. Communism is the exact opposite of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's death, tyranny, and the pursuit of evil.
I heard there were 100 Aramaic people once who lived in a commune 2,000 years ago. It didn't work. Didn't work. They wound up fucking the sheep. That's how it always ends. That's why we didn't want to have them at the state fair. We didn't want communists to jump on the sheep.
We didn't want communists to invade the fairgrounds and start fucking the sheep.
First they steal the basil, then they rape the sheep.
Yeah.
To bring about inhuman visions and to really propose what's good. They don't want good. They don't love God, and they don't want God. They don't love religion, and they don't want religion.
Did anybody write a speech, or is he just ad-libbing here? He's like,
I think he's just winging it.
They don't want what's good. They don't like God. They don't like anything good like God. They hate God. You can be a communist or you can be a patriot. You cannot be both.
You can be a patriot. You cannot be a communist, or you can be a patriot. You cannot be both.
How about neither? Am I allowed to be neither? I'll take neither. I'll sign for neither now. I'll sign for neither. Is that a deal? Do we have a deal? Can we make a deal? And I can stop watching this. This was such an unbearable weekend. Just an unbelievably stupid weekend to sit through. Like I said, I'm not a communist for the same reason I'm not MAGA, because I don't trust angry incels with guns lecturing me on who I have to love and be loyal to. So I'll take neither. How about leave me the fuck alone? How about that? How about everybody leave me alone after this week? I don't hear from any of this anymore. It's exhausting. I don't hear from Mamdani. I don't hear from Donald Trump. I don't hear lectures about how I'm supposed to feel about America from anybody. From anybody. Just get out of my face. How about that? I'll tell you the get out of my fucking face party. I'll start that. I think we can get people enrolled in that after this weekend.
Keaton, another 10 years, you're going to be Michael Savage.
Exactly.
Don't tell me how to feel about America.
Don't tell me. Yeah,
I heard enough.
Get out of my face.
Enough.
Enough with this. All right, just get out of here. Leave me alone with this shit. I don't want to be enlisted in your thing. Okay, leave me the fuck alone. This is overbearing. This was too much. That for 3 days in a row, you have all of this fanfare and pomp and circumstance, and I mean, it's just come on. I thought this was a free country. It was a free country. Assaulted constantly with this.
That's just a rumor.
Yeah.
Peddle Marxist lies about our heritage, tell our children that we live on stolen land or that our heroes were oppressors. They're doing something much worse than slandering our past. They are slandering and attacking our future. Not going to let that happen. They're trying to tear down the great American character, to destroy the people who declared independence, who crossed the Delaware, who settled the West, and who conquered the skies. You know who those people are. But we will never let that happen.
Never let that happen. All right. That was some speech. Wow. That was great. That was wonderful. This guy thinks so. Whoever the fuck this guy is.
A trans with a Schmendrick swinging it in a girl's bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be me in 20 years. Whoever this fucking guy is, he loves the speech. Trump's Rushmore speech was a rebuke of Mamdani and rising socialism.
Really phenomenal speech by President Trump. And of course, that fireworks was this tour de force through American history and American culture. And like you were saying before, you know, it really
a hailstone the size of a basketball just blasted through my windshield, but it was worth it. It was worth it to be here to hear that beautiful speech.
It was a defense of American culture tonight. Really, it was a rebuke of Mayor Mamdani.
See, that's
the
the stuff
democratic
that tires me
socialism that is really taking hold in a lot of parts of this country. In a way, it's sort of rebooting what President Barack Obama was trying to do to the culture and to the Democratic Party.
God,
it's almost as if the
this.
Democrats took a detour with Joe Biden, and now they're going back to that old school
you guys
religion
Joe
of
Biden.
Barack Obama, and they're taking it further.
They took a detour. See, they went from the brown, which was Obama, then they went back to the whites. Now they're going back to the browns again. That's what gets you a job, I guess, on Real America's Voice. That's his hard-hitting commentary on this great speech. But, hey, it was commie bashing all weekend long, so here they are back in Washington, D.C. in the run-up to Trump's July 4th speech back in Washington after the thunderstorms. Here's a great midterm messaging here. Carolyn Levitt calls Gen Z lazy and raised with silver spoons in their mouths. This is a woman who's married to like a 60-something-year-old rich guy talking about how Gen Z is lazy.
Some of these kids, and I call them kids because they're in their 20s, and they've never had real jobs, and they're complaining things are expensive. Yes, things are expensive when you don't have a real job.
Right.
Do you think that's getting traction, complaining?
Unfortunately, I do, because this generation, my generation, I hate to say it, Gen Z and those younger than me have been raised with just silver spoons in their mouth, just getting everything handed to them. That's not the
Isn't she
values this
borderline
country was
Gen
built
Z?
on. It was built on meritocracy and hard work.
Now,
She really have
me, I put something else in my mouth, and that's how I got where I am. But hey, you think that's not a lot of work with a guy that age? You know, it's not easy to get him to perform.
Yeah,
shall we say that's hard work. I was willing to work for everything that I have, one orifice at a time,
just like Kamala.
pulling yourself up from your bootstraps and achieving the American dream. And we need to protect it with all we got.
Is it laziness?
A little bit.
Is it because the professor said the country's corrupt, it's evil, and we just need to shake them down and hand money out?
It's laziness, and it's the liberal indoctrination. You bring up a great point about our education system. However, I will say a silver lining, so many parents that I talk to across the country are homeschooling, are turning to private education, are turning towards Christian schools across the country because they don't want their children being taught these communist and liberal ideas slammed down their throats.
They don't want their children being taught that things are expensive. I mean, who do they think they're talking to? President Trump's job approval on inflation is 30%. 30%.
Right.
67 disapprove, 30% approve on inflation. Look at Donald Trump's net approval rating. He's underwater in all but 5 states. 5 states: Idaho, Wyoming, North Dakota, West Virginia, Oklahoma. Those are the only 5 states in the country where Donald Trump's approval rating is in the black. Everywhere else, it's in the red. And if you look at all those swing states, they're in the red by double digits. So, like, who do they think they're talking to when they're talking about, oh, yeah, no, things are expensive when you don't have a job? Yeah, okay. Once again, 30% approval rating on inflation. Oh, wow. Nailing it there. But here's Donald Trump on July 4th from the nation's capital. We got a couple of clips here, pretty much more of the same here. So here he comes on after the evacuations over the weather, very proud that we will not be deterred. We're here to get this speech off the ground tonight.
America, if you think that was easy, it wasn't. And I want to thank everybody because they did the right thing. They saw lightning, and I said, there's no way if we have to speak in front of one person at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to be here. There's no way we can be deterred.
And I'm going to say basically the same exact thing I said last night.
375,000 people before. Everybody had to leave. And they now have 150,000 people. It's the craziest thing anyone's ever seen. At least.
Oh, yeah, 150,000 people there. Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm sure that was the turnout. Sure, that's an accurate head count there. The audience, 150,000 people at fucking midnight after a thunderstorm. Yeah, 150,000. And of course, Donald Trump tried to quote the Declaration of Independence, but of course, misquoted the Declaration of Independence. Here, let's take a look.
Declaration of Independence tells us we are all made in the image of one Almighty God. And a communist will never say that. That's for sure.
That's for sure. That's for sure. A communist will never say that. So, community note, the Declaration of Independence does not say we are all made in the image of one Almighty God. It says that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Now, could you imagine, we just covered Mamdani's speech in the last segment. Could you imagine if Mamdani misquoted the Declaration of Independence? There wouldn't be a chud on X that wouldn't have made a huge deal over it.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, holy smokes. Foreign communist misquotes Declaration of Independence. Not a real American. Deport. That would have been their take.
I guess they
in
don't
one
teach
voice.
the Declaration in Uganda.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nothing says I love America, says Kari Pennebaker, like misquoting the Declaration of Independence on live TV. And then pretending the fake quote proves everyone else hates the country. That's right. He didn't misquote anything, says not a bot. Yeah, I think the lady doth protest too much there.
Yeah.
All men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. All men by their Creator, not creators. Yeah, it's an own. All right, so I'm going to give a shout out to Caleb Maupin, our friend here. We've had him on the show a bunch of times. I'm going to be interviewing him on Friday about this, but he did a stream last night that I was lucky enough to catch the first part of anyway. Oddly enough, I couldn't catch the whole thing. You know why? Because I had to go out and watch the fireworks with the children. See, once again.
They made you do that?
One thing after another, after another, after another. Yeah. But here's Caleb Maupin being the voice of reason.
Did you call them little shits for making you do it?
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, we didn't go to a thing. We just went out, on the front porch and just watched it from there. Yeah, no. We
You're
didn't get in the
complaining that you had to go on your front porch to watch the fire.
I'm joking. I'm just saying the irony that I couldn't.
A curmudgeon.
I'm just saying.
What a
I'm joking.
curmudgeon.
The irony that I couldn't watch the whole thing because I saw fireworks. But he was the voice of sanity this week, and I recommend that you check out this stream. He breaks everything down in great detail as he always does. And here he is basically saying what I've been thinking for the last few days about just how idiotic all of this discourse has been over these past few days, especially since the rise of the communists at the DSA.
Communism that we are watching is And the argument about communism that we are watching is so dumb. It is beyond dumb. It is a manifestation of ignorance like I've never seen, because both sides agree on one thing. Communism is taxes. And that's what the argument is about. The Democrats believe that communism means that you tax rich people and use the taxes to give people social programs like healthcare and education. That's communism. And the Republicans also agree that communism is taxes, and they believe communism is when the government takes from wealthy people and redistributes their income, and that's communism. And so we're having an argument about, should we have more of a welfare state or less of a welfare state? And somehow we are pretending that this is an argument about what went on in the 20th century. And it is one of the dumbest things I have ever seen. The argument is, I mean, it's on the level of a 5-year-old on both sides. Okay. And, you know, if you're on the left and you take offense to that, well, I don't care. And if you're on the right and you take offense to that, I don't care. There are people on the right that actually know what communism is and disagree with it and have sophisticated arguments against it. And there are people on the left who actually know what communism is and have sophisticated arguments for it. Those are not the voices that are dominating social media. Right now, imagine 2 5-year-olds fighting. We've got one group of 5-year-olds who says, some people have more money than others. That's no fair. And we have another group of 5-year-olds that says, the government is taking away some of my money. That's no fair. And that is the level of the argument, right? Is it no fair when the government takes your money away, or is it no fair that some people have more money than others? And that is the level of the argument. And it is dumb. It is dumb and childish and stupid. And nobody is taking the time to learn anything.
Exactly. Like, you're seeing just absolute ignorance on display when it comes to this invocation of communism and the laziness of people. Like, I don't even, like, I'm sorry to have to go here, but, you know, if you are of a certain age, which is the cohort that Donald Trump is pandering to with all this Red Scare bullshit, you're talking about boomers, you're talking about older people. Like, you have not bothered to learn the first thing about this concept that you've been so terrified of your entire life. Like, you haven't bothered learning literally the first thing about it, which is control of the means of production. What Caleb Alpin says is 100% right. To act as if this debate over how much we tax people in order to spend on social welfare programs is a debate about communism versus capitalism is just completely fucking illiterate. It is juvenile. Like, it's just extraordinary how this becomes the thing that every media organ is now writing think pieces about. And 24-hour news cycle after news cycle now since the 3 DSA people won, 2 in New York, 1 in Colorado. Now you're going to talk about how communism is at the gates. It is such nonsense. It is just so depressing to watch and to see a society just swallow itself in just absolute ignorance. Like, it's just embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. And again, young people may have some excuse. They're young, they're learning. If you are in the boomer cohort, which is statistically, I'm sorry, the cohort that is most susceptible to this propaganda, I'm sorry, what the fuck is your excuse for being this fucking ignorant at this point in your life? You haven't bothered to learn the first thing about any of this in 50 years? You just let these people bullshit you about how, Medicare for all is communism. Medicare for all transfers no ownership of the medical industry to the government. You still have private pharmaceutical companies. You still have private doctors. You still have private hospitals. It's not private everything. It's the government guarantees payment to those private enterprises. Right? That is not communism. I can go on forever about this, but this is why I'm in a Jewy mood this evening, because it's grating. It is overbearing and annoying and embarrassing
All right.
that we are mired in this debate at this stage.
All right, man. Here's my opening. Here's my opening to get Keaton to travel. So Keaton, you know how I keep saying when I go traveling that one of the most disconcerting things when you come back into America is, okay, you ever drive down a road where you've got like fog up ahead, like you
Right.
can literally see the fog you're about to drive into?
Right.
That's America. It's not like this any place else I've ever been. I'm not saying every place else is freaking utopia, but this type of conversation that's so obviously in bad faith and low IQ, that's just not the deal any place else I've ever been. Most of what passes for civic debate in America, people would think you were mentally ill if you behaved and talked that way. Pretty much any place else I've ever been, except for England. It's the only place where they're kind of in that neighborhood. Nah, man, that's purely an American thing because America has such a unique combination of enormous wealth and horrific abuse of its citizens and lack of a social safety net for its citizens. The only way they can try to maintain that is to keep everyone chasing their own tail and arguing over nonsense, keep everyone ignorant, keep everyone fighting, make everyone think that civic discourse is all about posturing and chest pounding. And they're very effective at that. We just saw that with the reaction of the Mamdani speech, which frankly was pretty milquetoast and standard.
Yeah.
It was a speech Obama might have given. Like, really, that was kind of an Obama-esque kind of speech. America's greatness has too often been overshadowed by the suffering of some of its people who've been left out of its promise. Right? Like,
Right.
that's all that was. It was nothing. So why do you have all these trust fund kids, as we saw? Donald Trump, Spencer Pratt, Elon Musk. Why are they all trying to get working people so angry? It's the only way you can maintain this level of inequality where most people, there's nothing in it for them to continue this system. The only way you can get them to not go to your house and burn it down if you got the house on the hill is you got to keep them fighting each other. You got to keep the peasants in the mud fighting over nonsense. So you go to other places that don't have this enormous military budget that they have to fund. They're able to put money back into their societies. They don't need people fighting like this. Quite the contrary. They'd rather have social stability. They'd rather have calm. They don't want that kind of constant conflict in their society. They see that as potentially causing social instability. With these guys, they're happy to have social instability as long as they can direct the peasants to only get violent with each other. That's the whole purpose of it. So yeah, man, the whole conversation is fake and gay. Absolutely. That having been said, in all fairness, I don't think you got a lot of people on the left actually claiming to be communists. And the ones who do claim to be communists usually have an idea of what it means. But you do have a lot of people on the other side telling them that they're communists.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying you should or should not.
Well, no, Caleb said, like, you got these. No, only one side thinks that the other side are communists. Really.
No,
like,
but
most of these
Caleb is
people
saying,
don't think they're communists.
No, what Caleb is saying is that, one of the lines that Democrats use to sort of stigmatize the DSA people is that they're too far left. Now, I don't know if they call them communists, but they basically insinuate in that direction, as if what they're advocating for is anything beyond the norms of a I don't know, 1992, 1988 Democrat. These people are not to the left of George McGovern. They're not to the left of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So they're barely social. They're not socialists. They're really social democrats. Like, if DSA had just branded themselves social democrats, they'd have probably gotten a lot more power a lot faster, because the stigma associated with socialism is such that it has held them back for quite some time. So, so I think that's kind of the point that Caleb was making there is that you have operatives in both of these parties talking as if these ideas are aren't just kind of like normie center-left ideas, which is essentially what DSA's platform is. Like I said, they're barely socialists, much less communist. And you know, the fact that the conversation's been dragged to this point is not all that surprising, I guess, when you look in context of, you know, conservatives calling anyone to the left of Mitt Romney a communist for, you know, as long as I've been alive. I mean, they've been saying this all along. So now when you get people who identify as socialists, I guess this hyperbolic rhetoric is to be expected, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating to watch and to think, you know, there are people twice my age who are more educated than me who still take this seriously. That, yeah, no, fucking, Ayanna Pressley's a communist, you know.
Yeah.
AOC is a communist. It's absurd. It's just absurd. All right. Let's move on. Let's take some super chats and some Rumble rants here. Vienticus Prime says, you know, I half expected to see a bunch of Israeli flags everywhere during the celebrations. There were some Israeli flags actually at the like some of the music events. I think they took them down though. Rumbling, I can't get to a TV right now. Can someone check if soccer is still gay? Thank you. P. Walker, Taibbi was replaced and now a pod person. How can he tweet that after the divide? Oh, yeah, Griftopia. He's written a whole bunch of books that are great. The Gray Zone had
Very
Christian
weird.
Parenti on for a 2-hour episode to remember Michael Parenti. Super highly recommend listening to it, guys. The very end too, so powerful, must watch. Love DD. Thank you. Well, did you watch the funeral for Michael Parenti? Jimmy spoke there, Max spoke there, Christian obviously spoke there. That was great. We covered some of it on this show when Jimmy was on while Russ was in China. So yeah, I would love to watch that actually. I think Jimmy just had Christian on too as well. From Pack of Wild MAGA lumbering, shooting FW and throwing punches in the middle of the road to not starting show at usual 21:30, but 0000 was a shit show. Yeah, was at midnight. Is that how you say midnight out there? 0000 military time? Thank you, Mr. Kemmons says, honestly, at this point, I have more respect for Spencer Pratt than Taibbi. At least Spencer was always a creep grifter. No talent. Taibbi turned on his own potential. Andy Gardner, I still play Cowboys and Indians, and you can't take that away. This holiday weekend, I was conveniently sick and stayed in bed with my terrified dog. That's the other thing. It's not nice for the animals. It's not nice. The dogs get scared.
My cat used to get terrified the whole night and be like hiding under something.
The whole thing, it really just aggravating. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe. Yeah, I told you, folks, I was in a Jewy mood tonight. I did not disappoint. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Emma Lazarus. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just reading from Lady Liberty herself there. Ugly old broad says stuff. Spencer Bratt, indigenous boomer here. Same back at you with trust fund baby Moran. Mamdani isn't communist, but keep using that burned out trailer stage for flapping your gums, then go home to Malibu. Yeah, come on. Who's he kidding now? Living in the fucking trailer. Yeah, that's where he spends his nights.
Oh yeah.
Andy Gardner, Keaton is right on American Pride. It's like a norm. Yep.
Yeah, like literally his whole brand was being the trust fund kid on a reality show.
Right. You guys are entertaining enough to replay segment at work for entertainment. Hats off to you guys. Work is dumb, and I need that. Well, thank you.
Thank
Dave.
you.
Appreciate that. David Santucci says you guys need to make Keaton on the road happen for real.
I mean, it
Thank
was
you.
pretty funny. Just keep
Appreciate
complaining about everywhere he goes.
Yeah, exactly. Professor Brown, though, maybe Keaton could do a Georgian podcast series, 74 hours tour of the best public restrooms in New York City. Yes, that would be a Costanza-like tour. You know, I've always said this, one of my favorite public restrooms in New York City, in fact, my favorite public restroom in New York City was, any guesses? Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue.
Really?
Not only was it a beautiful public restroom,
It's a good one, yeah.
Donald Trump, that was a even though we knew he was an asshole and everything before he ran for president, he was always famous for being an asshole. I always appreciated that Donald Trump had his building, the lobby of his building was open to the public 14 hours a day, every day. As a tour guide who used to work that Midtown circuit, those bathrooms in Trump Tower were a lifesaver. They're a lifesaver because it's hard to find a place to take a piss in New York City. So between tours, I could go in there and I could take a piss to get back to the Plaza Hotel to start my next tour. Hugely helpful. You know what place doesn't have public bathrooms that are easily accessible? St. Patrick's Cathedral. Churches, if they're not going to pay taxes, should have to have public restrooms in New York City, especially where it's hard to find the public restroom. That should be the deal.
You need to move back down here and run for Congress.
Well, Zohran Mamdani, he should be on
these kinds
that.
of ideas. Yeah.
I shouldn't have to go piss in Trump Tower when St. Patrick's is right there. They should have a restroom for people to come and use. Why is it that Donald Trump...
Probably a little bit of a space issue there, though.
Why is it that Donald Trump is more charitable with the bathrooms than the Catholic Church, than St. Patrick's? This is supposed to be a refuge for people. Can't even go take a piss there. I got to go to Trump Tower.
My favorite is probably the Columbus Circle one. The Time Warner Center there.
Yeah, but as I remember, that's a little difficult to get to, right? Isn't that like up on the third floor?
Second floor. It's up the escalator.
Yeah, I guess the bathroom.
I mean, the Trump one is down in the
basement. It's down, but it's a short walk. I feel like, yeah, maybe, all right, maybe. But anyway, I always thought the Trump Tower bathrooms were a huge service to New Yorkers that he never got the credit for. So I'll always give him that. Because it's a real service. You know,
I mean, you should go on Fox and talk about that.
I should talk about that. It's poll numbers, yeah. Yeah. So, the guy did a real mitzvah back in the day. I don't know if you can get in there now. It's probably not open to the public now, is it?
No, it is.
Oh, it is? All right, so there you go. All right, so he's still delivering for the American
as of my last tours, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you started again after he became president. You never got the request to go into Trump Tower until then.
Right.
Like you had to bring like certain student groups in there.
All right. Well, I take it back. I guess the communist threat is real. I guess I'm MAGA after all. Vienticus Prime, Keaton on the road. I'm here at the airport eating some food. I decided American food is probably better than any other parts of the world. Well, at least good enough, so I'm staying home. Thank you, Vienticus. CB Funk, the bicentennial, while coming out of Vietnam in the 60s, was only 30 years removed from the end of World War II and the 50s boom. Different middle-aged generations. Like us looking back to 1995.
That's what it is. Like a country doesn't just go from like that patriotic to just completely trashing the country overnight.
Right.
It took a long time for Americans to get this apathetic.
Right. Vienticus Prime says, that part in Airplane where the talk show guy was like, they bought the tickets, they knew what they were getting into. I kind of feel that way about people who bought Trump's crypto. Yeah, exactly. Nina Can, same peasant management tried firing me yesterday, but Big Boss basically told him to shove it. We need Nina. Oh, there you go. All right. Well,
nice.
Thanks for letting us know that, Nina. Glad you still got your job there. Stace says Mr. 8407. Pratt is awful, but Nithya Raman is no Zoran. Votes in favor of LAPD funding. Voted yes on the city adopting IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. I can go on. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Muppy the Puppy says DSA is controlled opposition. They ultimately are still Democrats, which means they serve the Epstein class. They're controlled opposition to prevent class consciousness. Vientica says, I like how the Chiron says it's a fierce rebuke to communism. It sounds like an idiot rambling. P. Walker, Trump is 400 pounds of shit in a 20-pound bag. Race car, hey, Russ's new camera looks sharp. The black colors are true black now. Yeah, no, it has good contrast. Definitely good contrast.
All right, so hey, I am very happy to not have to deal with the remote one anymore.
There you go. LMAO says, Mr. Fancy Pants, these guys are freaking out. Meanwhile, you're not even allowed to clap at the DSA convention. Yeah, I know. You're afraid of a bunch of snappers.
You're not even allowed to get the clap at the DSA convention.
Yeah, right, exactly. I thought this was America. Isn't this America? I'm sorry. I thought this was America. That's right. That's right. Mark Pugliese says, Du Bois said that blacks that had learned a skilled trade were barred from practicing it after freedom by Jim Crow. Thank you, Mark Pugliese. Vientica says, I'm surprised that something from Lawrence of Loomrabia was making the rounds, screaming crazy old hag voice. I really love this country. Ryan Spence says, Levitt is 28 and banging the Crypt Keeper. Get real. Thank
That's
you.
what I say. Washington's favorite sugar baby.
Exactly.
Like I'm sorry, man. Hey, how you want to make a living? That's up to you. That's a prostitute. Like what else is she's a prostitute? Like that's fine. That's fine. I don't judge anyone for how they make their daily bread. But when you're in your mid 20s and you marry a guy in his 60s who's very rich, you're a prostitute. You're not charging by the night. You're charging by the decade. That's all.
Charging by the decade. Yeah. All right. We'll move right on along here. First, a quick word from our friends at Rumble Wallet. Let me see. Something happened here. What happened here? Well, I guess it's not working. All right. I'll try it again later. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So we were very excited here in New York. Ben-Gvir was on his way. He was going to be here July 7th. Ethan Levin's here. He's currently wanted by many governments, sanctioned by all, and is traveling first class to New York City. Will Mamdani arrest him or let him walk freely? That's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. A lot of people were asking that. There was a protest planned for July 7th right outside the UN, but canceled. Ben-Gvir once again, this is the second time, cancels U.S. visit amid calls to prosecute far-right minister. That's from Haaretz. Ben-Gvir was scheduled to head a national security ministry delegation to the United Nations Chiefs of Police Summit 2026. Well, that sounds like a fun time. Sources said that despite initial plans to attend, the ministry decided not to send a delegation. A little bit from Dropsite News on this, a little more. Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has canceled his trip to New York for next week's UN Policing Summit after protest plans and calls from human rights groups to investigate and arrest him. The Hind Rajab Foundation and Center for Constitutional Rights had urged New York Attorney General Letitia James to open a criminal investigation into Ben-Gvir ahead of the July 7th to 8th visit, and an open letter with thousands of signatures demanded his prosecution for war crimes. It is his second canceled U.S. trip in weeks. Israeli media reported last month he scrapped a visit after the U.S. Embassy required him to appear in person and provide fingerprints for a visa. Kind of surprised they did that. Well, Mike Huckabee couldn't put in a good word for him.
Yeah.
So, hey, as I was working on this piece, it definitely occurred to me, and this happens a lot when you do this. There's just so much to keep track of. A lot of things get past you, a lot of good groups, organizations. The Hind Rajab Foundation, I didn't even know they were doing this. I would like to interview somebody from over there, but they're doing the Lord's work. The Hind Rajab Foundation and the Center for Constitutional Rights call on New York Attorney General to investigate Israeli Minister of National Security Ben-Gvir. And here's their pitch. Here's their elevator pitch here. In light of consistent inaction from the U.S. Department of Justice with respect to the Hind Rajab Foundation's urgent request for prosecution of Ben-Gvir, the Hind Rajab Foundation at the Center for Constitutional Rights have submitted a letter to New York Attorney General Letitia James to urge her to meet with New York victims of Ben-Gvir's crimes and initiate an investigation of Ben-Gvir under New York state criminal law. The letter argues that because a number of New York residents have been harmed by Ben-Gvir's criminal conduct, and because Ben-Gvir may also be engaging in criminal conduct while in New York, Attorney General James has the authority and the obligation to commence a criminal investigation into Ben-Gvir. Specifically, the letter cites 1, torture and abuse by the Israeli prison service under Ben-Gvir's authority against New York residents, including one Palestinian American subjected to starvation and other torture methods while detained in an Israeli prison, and 10 participants in the 2025 and 2026 global Samud flotillas who were subjected to torture and abuse, both directly by Ben-Gvir and by officers operating under his authority after they were illegally detained in international waters. Ben-Gvir's distribution of gun permits and weapons to Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank in furtherance of Israel's policies of apartheid and violent dispossession. 3, Ben-Gvir's direct incitement to genocide, which has resulted in concrete genocidal actions against Palestinians within the IPS, Gaza, and the occupied West Bank. The letter further argues that given Ben-Gvir's actions in these 3 areas of responsibility, there are reasonable grounds to believe that he has committed at least 9 different crimes under the New York Penal Code. The Hind Rajab Foundation and Center for Constitutional Rights have further urged Attorney General James to convene and lead an interdivisional effort to identify New York residents that actively served in the Israeli armed forces since October 7th, 2023, identify the perpetrators of Israeli atrocity crimes, and assess those crimes' impact on New York residents, and 2, establish an atrocity crimes accountability task force in the Criminal Justice Division responsible for investigating atrocity crimes perpetrated by or against New York residents in Gaza or the occupied West Bank. So Wombat here tweets out, I think rightly, Letitia James proudly marched with Smotrich. Unlikely. Yes, you are right. However, as we have seen, a lot of these people are feeling the pressure right now. And we have to use every legal means at our disposal and political means at our disposal to keep that pressure on. I'm going to see if I can get somebody from the Hind Rajab Foundation on Jimmy's, because I want to promote this petition. This is the way to go. This is the way to go. You don't want Letitia James to have a moment's peace. You have to make people like Letitia James understand that there are going to be consequences for marching with war criminals like Beelzebub Smotrich. So I think what they're doing is very smart and very courageous. Kardeen Kizwani, never forget, the last time Ben-Gvir came to NYC, his visit was followed by a mob assault in Crown Heights. A pro-Palestinian protester was struck in the head, and a local woman was chased by dozens of men chanting death to Arabs and threatening to grape her. More than a year later, no one has been held accountable. Really? With Tish James in there, no one's been held accountable? I can't believe that. Let's take a look at one of these videos. Now this week, Fat Randy came out and gave a really remarkable soundbite, as he does, saying, if somebody says a Christian thing, nobody's scared. If someone says Jewish thing, nobody's scared. But if someone says Allahu Akbar, everybody jumps behind a car. So I don't believe in Islamophobia because fear of Islam is reasonable. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at why people might be afraid of deranged, genocidal, Zionist psychopaths. This is the last time Ben-Gvir was in town.
I went outside to see what was going on. I saw that there had been a protest that was over, but there were still hundreds of Orthodox Jewish men, mostly men, in the streets and sidewalks, and there were a few neighbors, including myself, standing on the sidewalk just observing. When people began filming near me, I pulled my scarf up over my face because I didn't want to be on camera. And as soon as I did this, a Jewish woman began screaming at me, and just a group of like 100 men came over immediately and encircled me. They threatened to rape me. They were hurling just vile insults at me. I moved closer to the police than I already was, and they did nothing to intervene. I tried to leave, and a single officer attempted to escort me home, but this mob followed us. They grew in number. They were screaming at me, "Go back to Palestine." They were shouting "Death to Arabs." They kicked me in the back multiple times. They spat on me. They threw objects at my head. They threw a trash can and a traffic cone at me. And I was just terrified. There's nothing more I can say except that I felt just sheer terror.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to be afraid of when you see Jews. Nobody would be afraid when they see this. I must say, I have not seen any videos like that of Muslims doing that to anyone in New York. And you know that if anything like that had happened, that video would be all you would see
Well, that's
all
why.
over the media. That
That's
would be
why there are
all
no
you would
videos
see.
like that.
Yeah, no. So that is what happened last time Ben-Gvir came to town. That's what he inspires in his loyalists. Hey, good news, folks. This is from Ite Epstein. He could be wrong. Israel's next prime minister is likely to be Itamar Ben-Gvir. That is no longer a fringe hypothetical, but a political trajectory visible in plain sight. States committed to the rule of international law, peace, and human security ought to be preparing for that possibility now. Most are not. They idle, equivocate, and defer as the architecture of Israeli impunity for mass atrocities hardens before their eyes. The failure will not be one of foresight, but of political will. And so this got around quite a lot. To be clear, this is a poll of who would best deal with crime in Israel. Now, remember, this is somebody of whom videos of him abusing prisoners have been widely distributed. This is somebody who went on TV and talked about how spitting on Christians is an old custom that shouldn't be against the law. So even so, that's tells you a lot about Israeli society, that a plurality would say that he's going to be the best person to deal with crime. What does that tell you about how Israelis think? That this guy not only is not in prison, but they think he's a good administrator. Clearer by the day, Ben-Gvir is Israel. Israel is Ben-Gvir. They are one where atrocity crimes are celebrated. Only sustained external pressure can possibly create the conditions in which Israeli society reconsiders this catastrophic trajectory before it becomes still more deeply entrenched. I think that ship has sailed, my friend. Ryan Graham. It'll be amusing to hear people say, okay, Ben-Gvir may be prime minister, but that doesn't mean there aren't some moderate people in the government who truly represent Israel. It's not a dictatorship, after all. He's just one government official, and that is what you will hear. And hey, man, I thought it was an oasis for gay people in the Middle East. There's Ben-Gvir there. Basil Smotrich also attended a rally like this more recently, where they compared gay people to barnyard animals. Israel's gays better start making plans to leave. Yeah, that'll be even more interesting when you have a guy who is openly hostile to gay rights as a prime minister of Israel. How do they square that circle? It would be no surprise at all to me if Ben-Gvir were to become prime minister. It would be, as Ryan Grimm says, pretty interesting to see how they tried to deal with that. Because Netanyahu, when he finally leaves his post, is not going to be replaced by anyone less extreme. He will probably, in any case, be replaced by someone more extreme, because it is clear that is the direction Israeli society is going in. Any kind of liberal Israeli, they've gone for the exits, man. They've gone back to Europe where their forebears came from, and in many cases where they came from. They've left. Notice how the Palestinians wouldn't leave their land even under the most unimaginably horrific conditions. But you got all these Israelis. We've done stories about this even before October 7th. They were having a problem with a lot of Israelis leaving. That's not something you do if you really feel like that's your home, if that's your land. There was actually a video that was going around a couple weeks ago of Ben-Gvir at some kind of dinner, and they're playing the music, and he starts clapping, and the woman there starts dancing. She goes, they're fucking imitating the people they displaced. That's not your culture. You're cosplaying as Middle Easterners. It's all Arab. The music they're playing is Arab. The food they're eating is Arab. When I was growing up, they told us falafel was Israeli. I thought it was Israeli until I got older and I found out it wasn't Israeli. That's what they tell you, that all this Middle Eastern food that they appropriated is indigenous to their culture. I'm kind of disappointed, honestly, they didn't come, because it would have been a real test of Mamdani's commitment to arrest these freaking wanted war criminals. But yeah, man, that is the shape of things to come. I know it's very dark. These are very dark times. You will see the day that these people cannot travel anywhere. And I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. You cannot have this kind of disconnect between the government and public opinion for very long. It's just not sustainable. It's not possible.
Excuse me. Well, yeah, I mean, even Tish James, who marched at the parade, obviously there is political pressure on her, especially with Mamdani as the mayor, who, has threatened to arrest Netanyahu. And, I mean, he whiffed on Bezalel Smotrich, was in town, could have arrested him there, right?
Is he wanted by the ICJ?
I believe Smotrich is. You mean by the ICC? I'm not exactly sure. But I mean, we're not a party to that, so I don't know on what authority you would do it. Actually, that's a good question. I'm not a lawyer, but I know Mamdani has made pretty big promises in that regard, and obviously it was enough to get him to cancel this trip. As far as his political prospects in Israel are concerned, yeah, I mean, of course, it makes sense that the most committed minority would be to the most radical party as Netanyahu's support collapses. I mean, do you see Israel moderating, or do you see them radicalizing further? And don't forget, it's a parliamentary system or whatever they have over there, multiple parties. So you don't have to get to 50%. It's not a matter of do a majority of Israelis support you. It's where is the most committed minority? Where is that plurality, right? If he could win at 20 to 25%, it is certainly not inconceivable that he would. And, when you see his numbers on crime, I mean, what do Israelis give a shit about other than who's going to brutalize the Palestinians more? You know what I mean? Like, what other priorities do they have? None that we've really seen. None that we've really cared about. So tough on crime means, prosecuting the war on the Amalek. At least that seems to be a reasonable interpretation of that. And Ben-Gvir is a guy who has been convicted of incitement of racism, of supporting terrorism, of
Beelzebub too.
I think Gvir was convicted. I forget on how many counts and how many occasions, but multiple convictions for like rioting and all kinds of rebel rousing. So yeah, I mean, he is literally a convicted criminal. But that seems to be the direction in which Israeli society is heading. And so, no, it's not inconceivable. And, to what Ryan Grimm said, yeah, it'd be interesting to see the mental gymnastics if that actually comes to be. Because what we've seen over these past few years is a sort of scapegoating of Netanyahu, as guilty as he is of all that he's guilty of. There's been an effort to make this all about him, as if he is some sort of aberration, or as if the Israeli people couldn't have seen this coming, right? Which, of course, the problem is a lot deeper than that, and that becomes pretty plain for all to see if Ben-Gvir or his party should fare as well as it looks as though they might.
It seems like, as the writer was saying, as the poster was saying, he's focusing on Ben-Gvir, but even if it's not Ben-Gvir, I think you could safely predict the next prime minister of Israel will be even more extreme than Netanyahu.
Yes, I think so too. All right, there we go. Now we are in business. Sorry about that. So, hey, quick question, folks. How much control do you have over your money right now? Because technology has changed everything, and now it's changing how money works. And so what started as a niche has now gone mainstream with faster payments, more control, and fewer middlemen. This isn't hype. This is where things are going. And getting started today is easier than you think with Rumble Wallet. So with Rumble Wallet, you can buy Bitcoin, hold dollar-backed stable coins, and even own digital gold backed by real gold, all in one place. It's a non-custodial wallet, which means you, not a bank or a platform, control access to your funds instantly right on your phone. Setup is simple, takes no time to get started. You get connected with MoonPay so you can use your debit card, your credit card, or your bank account and be up and running in minutes with Rumble Wallet. And for a limited time, you could start that wallet with $10 in US stablecoin by downloading the Rumble Wallet and entering our exclusive promo code DUE10, DUE10, when you sign up now. You can even use your Rumble Wallet to support your favorite Rumble creators like us directly. There's a little tip icon underneath the screen right now. When you tip us through that Rumble Wallet, the platform takes 0 fees. So it's a great way to support your favorite creators here on Rumble. You can also send Rumble rants through your Rumble Wallet just as you do now. So get started. Scan that QR code, click the link in the description, or go to wallet.rumble.com/DD and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set your wallet up, enter promo code DUE10, DUE10, and get that $10 in US stablecoin. This is, of course, a limited time offer, so act now by scanning the QR code. Wallet.rumble.com is the site. Take control of your money and get started with Rumble Wallet today. Okay. You want to take some super chats and Rumble rants? Jake, do we have the scroll that we could throw up here while we're doing this? Of course, if you'd like to support the show, best way to do so is to become a member at duedissidents.com/Patreon, Substack, or Locals. We are going to Q&A tonight after our final segment, so patrons will have call-in access. All are welcome to hang out and chat after the show, but patrons will have call-in access to our Q&A after our last segment, which is coming up next after these Rumble rants and super chats.
All right. Master Yoda. The S in DSA stands for Snowflake. Take personal responsibility to build a better system and join the American Communist Party at acp.us/join, because the future belongs to the working class. Gotta get a better class of working class, I think. Ugly old broad says stuff. Keaton, as a member of the boomer Goyhort, I agree. The older of my generation are just like that. Have some peace that most of us younger ones are annoyed too. Yeah. Okay. So for people like Taibbi, I'm going to call them Bexers from now on. They're Gen Bexers.
Gen Bexers.
Scooby. Americans like to brag about having a side hustle as if that's a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing if it's a choice. It's not a good thing if that's the only way that you can eat. Sunrise, UK government bringing in similar laws as EU regarding censorship. I'm covering that next. You read my mind. and putting broadcasters ahead of independent creators on YouTube. Newsletters will now be more important than ever. That would be funny, man. Kick it old school, go back to handing out pamphlets at Union Square. Rajesh Tandon, super sticker. Thank you. Kim G, I took an epic dump in Trump Tower restaurant. I'm sure the other people there appreciated that.
As long as you cleaned up properly, you can come back anytime.
Edward Campbell. I mean, you know what we need here? Bidets. We need bidets. Edward Campbell, Freedom 250. You get used to those, man, when you're overseas. Freedom 250 state booths should have explained how Israel gave the critical technology or person responsible for the greatness of all 50 states.
Good one.
Scott Sagling. If you've ever read Jim Carroll's Basketball Diaries, you might think about why public restrooms in NYC aren't so common. Yeah, I mean, that was back in the day. That's not as much of a problem anymore. Edward Campbell, like, did you know Florida earns $200 million annually from the sale of seedless watermelon pioneered
Yeah, that would have been
Israel?
a good exhibit at the state fair. Yeah.
All right, one more. Vianticus Prime, I'm just going to point out again all the scientific terms that have Arabic ties. Yeah, I was just watching somebody who did a video about Yuval Harari's, he's one of these kind of IDW adjacent scumbags. His book Homo Sapiens. She was saying, I mean, it's ridiculous because it's supposed to be a history of Homo sapiens, and he really only talks about Europe, and he only gets into other cultures insofar as like they're being conquered by Europe. Meanwhile, if you're going to talk about a history of intellectual thought, I mean, our whole numeral system is Arabic. Mathematics comes out of that region. Gunpowder, printing, paper money comes out of China. I mean, we really are indoctrinated with this insanely Eurocentric view of the world. And even liberals have it, like the kind of liberals who read The Atlantic, I mean, they basically have that same view. Yeah, they just they have bad governments over there. They just they've never been able to get it together. Yeah, you're a racist. Like you just don't want to say it. You think these people are inferior. Why don't you just say that? It's not. It couldn't be. It's something they don't teach us in schools. How the vast majority of the world's GDP came out of Asia until relatively recently. And that only because we went in and killed them.
All right. Yeah, there's a couple more there. I could take those after. Do you want to do the last one now?
Yeah, because it's just two more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well. All right, hang on. I'm going to assume the position. See, that's my 4th of July shirt.
Yeah, George Washington.
It's only treason if you lose, baby. Okay, let's get Ben-Gvir out of there. Let me clean up my my studio here. All right. So as one of our super chatters mentioned, the EU is going full fascist. It's going full fascist. It's kind of amazing because the UK in particular has produced some of the greatest, most enduring dystopian science fiction. And now it's turning into that place. 1984, Brave New World, V for Vendetta, all of these came out of there, and that's what they're turning into. You would think when you have so many cautionary tales, you would take some precautions, right? Guess not. But this is the EU more broadly. The EU court backs criminal prosecution for sharing RT videos. Pay attention, folks. Coming to America soon enough. The EU's top court has ruled that private individuals can face criminal prosecution for posting RT videos on public websites, widening the bloc's crackdown on Russian media. We are using RT as a source here. So any of our European friends who are currently hearing the Gestapo storming up the stairs of your flat, we apologize.
Yeah, don't share this. Don't share this.
Don't share it. The Court of Justice of the European Union issued the ruling on Thursday in a case from Germany where 3 people are being prosecuted for publishing RT videos on a freely accessible website. The site did not charge readers and was financed only through voluntary donations. The CJEU, however, said that made no difference and ruled that all persons who are directly or indirectly responsible for making banned content available to the public can be treated as operators under EU sanctions rules. The judges argued it was irrelevant if the individuals were running a business, how long the content was available, or how widely it was spread. Under the German law cited in the ruling, violations of EU sanctions-based media bans can carry up to 5 years in prison. Tell me more about censorship in China. Tell me more. The ruling effectively pushes the EU ban on RT beyond broadcasters, platforms, or media companies, allowing for the criminal prosecution of any individuals accused of making RT content publicly available online. The EU banned RT and Sputnik, among other Russian media outlets, after the Ukraine conflict escalated in 2022. Brussels said the sanctions would remain in place until the end of the Ukraine conflict and after Moscow ceases to conduct, quote, disinformation and information manipulation actions against the EU. Well, so what about if you spread disinformation about the Maidan coup in 2014 and U.S. involvement in it? Is that okay? I bet that's okay. I bet you can spread that kind of disinformation. The measures were followed by platform blocks, app store removals, banking restrictions, and personal sanctions against media figures and journalists accused of working with Russian outlets. Germany had targeted RT even before the block-wide ban, with RT facing licensing pressure, platform bans, banking problems, and regulatory action. RT has vehemently condemned the restrictions and rejected the EU's accusations, stressing that the bloc has consistently failed to point to, quote, a single example, a single grain of evidence of false reporting. Moscow has repeatedly condemned the restrictions as censorship and an information war against Russia, accusing EU governments of using the Ukraine conflict as a pretext to silence dissent, suppress Russian language media, and intimidate journalists who challenge the mainstream Western narrative. Yep. So, hey, man, we're told that we have to defend the tradition of free speech and Western value against the godless Eastern communists. At least they say that to us here. And we have to defeat China because China has a system that doesn't respect people's rights and their speech and their ability to affect their governments. So here's a woman getting punched right dead in the face in Germany by a cop for saying free Palestine. Right in the face. Yeah, man. Those are Western values, man. Those are Western values. A little more. German police from Earth Hippie. German police showing their expertise in smashing anti-genocide, pro-Palestinian protesters. Again, punching these protesters for no reason. Look at that. Look at that. So a country that is brutally suppressing pro-Palestine protesters wants to put you in jail for 5 years for spreading disinformation if you post articles or videos from RT, even though, as the article points out, they haven't been able to prove that anything RT has published is factually incorrect. But that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant under the statute. That footage is amazing to me because German people, if you've ever dealt with German people actually from Germany, you bring up the Nazis, man, like they turn beet red, like they are so raised to be hyper conscious of that history. And you don't see what you're doing here. Like, this doesn't ring any bells.
Yeah.
When you see a woman get punched in the face for saying free Palestine, the German people are comfortable with that. That doesn't remind you of something. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'll think of it. Arnaud Bertrand. This is properly insane. Quite literally the worst example of censorship I've ever heard of anywhere. I checked the actual ruling, which you can see here. And to be clear, it isn't just censorship in the conventional sense, blocking access to a website or removing content from platforms. This is the criminalization of information relayed by private citizens with prison sentences attached. And the most insane aspect, if that is that it does not matter if the information relayed is accurate or not. It just matters that it originates from RT or other media outlets banned in the EU. In other words, truth isn't a defense anymore in the EU. It literally doesn't matter. It's purely based on the identity of the speaker. The ruling is actually explicit about this. The regulation quoted by the court says that the prohibition applies to any content, and they draw no distinction based on what the content actually says. If it originates from banned outlets, it's banned. It is quite simply a complete unraveling of the entire post-Enlightenment legal and philosophical project where entire generations of Europeans fought to move from who says it to is it true as the operative question. Think about the absurdity of it. If RT publishes a video saying the sky is blue and you share it on a publicly accessible website in the EU, you'd fall within the scope of this ruling, making you liable to criminal prosecution. Completely and utterly absurd, but that's the EU today for you. So hang on, man. Where's Douglas Murray? Where's Douglas Murray? Where's Brett Weinstein? Where's Konstantin Kassin? Where are all these people who get all teary-eyed with a lump in their throat at the mention of the glories of Western civilization and the Enlightenment and the Western values? Where are you, man? Where are you guys? Where are you guys? I don't see any of you say. Where's Douglas Murray's article about this? Where's his smarmy video? Yes, so in Germany, they believe that it doesn't matter if what you say is true. Where are you, man? Where are you guys? Fucking bunch of clowns. So Ryan Grimm, what is worth saving about Europe at this point if they're reverting to these authoritarian tendencies? Well, the answer is nothing, Ryan. Wyatt Reed, wild video shows British cops in an unmarked car detaining a jogger with a Palestine flag because he flagged up in their live facial recognition system. We stop a lot of people that have done nothing wrong whatsoever, he explains.
Very well, how are you?
Yeah, a bit hot, I'm running, aren't you? Just had a quick conversation about your flag. Obviously, you had some bubble with 4 of you about something. We stopped about it or something. Right, okay. No? Right, okay. Have you got anything written on it today or anything like that? Do you want to have a look?
I mean, am I being stopped for any? Can I go?
I'd rather you just wait here for a minute.
Okay.
What's your name, mate?
Do I need to give you my name?
We don't need to, but we're obviously investigating you for something at the moment, aren't we?
What are you investigating me for?
I don't know, because you flagged up on our live facial recognition vans. Right, so I just need to establish who
Welcome
you are.
to the future,
Okay. Right, if
folks.
there's any criminal offence we need to deal
Hello,
with.
sir.
All right.
Okay.
So what's your first name?
Yeah, well, just raising awareness to the genocide that's going on in Palestine, and Britain are complicit in it.
Wrong, okay. We're not saying you've done
No,
anything
yeah,
wrong.
but obviously being stopped by an unmarked police vehicle is a bit strange. I've never had that happen to me before.
Oh, okay. No, so obviously we stop quite a
I
lot of
thought
people.
criminals get pulled over by the police.
No, we stop a
Not
lot
peaceful
of people.
protesters.
We stop a lot of people that have done nothing wrong whatsoever.
Sorry, I'm videoing just for. I know I'm guessing I'm being videoed by you guys just for your. Yeah.
No,
Wow.
we're not stopping you and saying you've done anything wrong. We're just doing a stop check to make sure nothing is wrong.
Okay.
We stop a lot of people that have done nothing wrong.
Right.
Okay? And we stop a few people that have done something
Okay.
wrong. Yeah. So, and my colleague can take your details.
So where's the Army Hammer movie? Where's the
It's like a
Army
Monty
Hammer
Python
movie?
sketch.
Yeah, it really is. Where's Army Hammer going around and showing all these authoritarian cops what's what? Where's that movie? Where's the movie where Army Hammer goes to an island full of rich people? Where's that? They're going to make that sequel? They're going to make that movie? This is the censorship in Europe that you should be speaking out against, but that's not what Elon wants you to be speaking out about. He wants you to be freaking out about migrants. He wants you to be mad about migrants and grooming gangs. He doesn't want you looking at the fact that you're living in an authoritarian police state there now. A lot of people misunderstood. I did not broadcast from China, not because I was afraid I was going to get arrested. Look, we always keep it real with you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, there's no censorship in China. There is. Not the kind of thing we do. Like, I wouldn't really be worried about doing this show in China. It was just too much of a technical workaround. I didn't feel comfortable even what's Keaton going to do. All of a sudden I drop off because I lost the signal. Like it wasn't going to work. I would, if I technically could, I would do this show in China. I would not do this show in Europe at this point. I would not go to Europe and do this show. At this point, I think I would have a much better chance of going to jail doing the show in Europe. Whereas in China, I think that my chance of that would be pretty much zero doing the show in China. There are other people who do shows similar to this from within China without any problem. Not in Europe, man. Not anymore. Look at that. Look at that. Europe has fallen, but not in the way Elon wants to tell you it's fallen. It's fallen to Zionist censorship and a foreign policy establishment elite that still wants to fight the Cold War. That's who Europe has really fallen to. I have said again and again, I'm not going to say that there's no issue with bringing in more foreign peoples than your country can absorb. What I would argue to you is that if you don't want that, you should stop bombing the fuck out of these people and destabilizing their governments. I would say you should, if you want to deal with that, pressure your government to stop doing that. And I really can't take you seriously talking about that if you have nothing to say about this. And 90% of the people who want to talk about that don't have anything to say about this because they're mostly people who are dumb enough to be manipulated by Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson about what they should actually be out in the streets about.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, those kinds of resentments are easy to stoke, worldwide. This is like a narrower, more procedural question here. But the the application of a sanctions regulation for sharing something that's not like business related. It's not like you have a deal with an entity that's under sanction and there's money changing hands. You're just talking about disseminating information. Like, there are people who are sanctioned by the United States who still do interviews with United States journalists. That's not considered like a sanctions violation just to talk to someone. At least that's my understanding of it. I mean, as evidenced by the fact that like people who interview Francesca Albanese aren't in jail because you're allowed to talk to someone. You're just not supposed, you can't exchange gifts. There's all kinds of shit you can't do.
Right.
This is fucking insane. So how are you supposed to, first of all, how are you supposed to keep track of all this? Like, how do they expect the average person to keep track of which sources are under sanction and which aren't? And like, the idea that you're going to prosecute someone for sharing a piece of information is just truly nightmarish. It's truly dystopian. Like, if there's no intent beyond that, then how is it a prosecutable crime? Beyond that, it is literally a speech crime, and it's a really, really terrifying thing. And it's something that people have to take a lot more seriously, and this is why I said, you really need a liberty movement, really worldwide. I mean, you need to get these government thugs' boots off your neck in terms of what you could say. Right. Because that's really everything. I mean, that to me is the most important thing. And it's not just, I mean, there's some subjectivity in that because obviously I run my mouth for a living. But people, all sides of the spectrum talk about this too. I mean, Tucker says, you have a right to say what you think is true. And that's true. You have a right to say what you don't think is true. You have a right to lie. Like, you have a right to say whatever you want. As long as you're not threatening or inciting direct violence against somebody, then you have a right to say what you want. Period. And if that fundamental right is not respected, then that to me is just not a society worth upholding in that way anyway.
Well, and at that point, what's your whole argument predicated on? What's all this Western values? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, now you're beyond just litigating, well, Western history is not all it's cracked up to be. You're beyond that. Even the concepts you're saying are uniquely Western that make the West superior, you're not even upholding those anymore. So what are you talking about? Like, what's worth defending here at that point?
Right. Obviously. Danny in the chat says, not in China, Keaton. Yeah, no, not, I mean, that's why I personally wouldn't want to live there. And I wouldn't argue to import that system here. I'm not saying they should be conquered or they should be disrupted in any way. There's a different arrangement between the individual and the state. Right. So that's for them. Like, but would I advocate for importing that system here? No, I would not. Would I enjoy living in an environment like that? No, I wouldn't. That's not to say I'm a China hawk. I certainly am not. But yeah, no. I mean,
Vietnam, man, Vietnam.
There's nothing inconsistent about
commie in the streets, anarchist in the sheets.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's mutually exclusive.
I'm gonna pitch that to their tourism bureau.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think necessarily one has to come with the other. I'm just saying, like, for me personally, and a lot of it is a subjective thing. This is where I'm from, and so this is what I'm used to. But given that, given the arrangement between the individual and the state that I'm used to, I personally could not get along very well in a place that doesn't have a respect for freedom of speech. That is paramount. That is the most important thing.
And those places are shrinking.
They are. It's a small world out there.
But you know where they're shrinking? In the West.
Small world out there.
In the Western world, that is where you're seeing the real erosion of civil liberties, to the point that now I'm saying, well, I've said if I had to be an expat, I'd probably pick Spain. Spain's under the EU. Now, honestly, I'm not clear on how that works. Is that like the federal system where EU law supersedes local law?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how enforceable that is.
On one of the countries within it.
Yeah, and which jurisdictions are bound by any kind of enforcement mechanism that's handed down from the EU. Like, I don't know. I know the EU has a hand in like immigration policy and stuff like that, but in terms of like criminal law, I don't know. Is every EU country bound to uphold this ruling? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I'm not clear, but it's very concerning.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Not
Believe me,
good.
not good.
Mexico's looking good.
Mexico, yeah. Costa Rica. Larry Coldwater. Israeli food is Lebanese food put through the deflavorizer. Good one. Kemen. Mallory McMorrow drops out of Michigan Senate Democrat primary race, meaning El Sayed certainly to win. Well, that's not what people are saying. People are saying she dropped out in order to consolidate the opposition around Stevens.
That was the day walking ginger.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, I mean, I think you're right that probably El Sayed wins a head-to-head there, but I think if they were smart and they wanted to rig it, they would have had Stevens drop out and back McMorrow, since McMorrow is not as odious to the average Michigander because she's not just an out-in-the-open 8-pack shill the way Stevens is. Like, I don't think Stevens can win a general election in Michigan at this point because you're going to have the same exact factor that sank Kamala Harris is going to sink her. Like, the people in Dearborn are not going to come out and vote for this woman who says Israel comes to her in her dreams. They're not going to come out and vote for her. That was what sank Kamala Harris. So if it's close,
mean, that was creepy shit. Like, that should just be your campaign ad because she just seems unhinged. Whatever you think about Israel, she seems deranged.
Yeah, exactly. Vientikis. Al-Kashi was also the first to come up with the law of cosinus in cosines. Cosinus. See, it's been a while since I've been in school, but cosines, I remember that. Trigonometry, right? Is it trigonometry? What's the cosine? It's sine, cosine, and tangent. What do they call that? I forget. Albu Kid, as long as sections 224, 219, and 1217 remain in the NDAA, any performative rejections of Zionism or Israeli atrocities are irrelevant. We're cooked full panopticon if it passes. Race car, AI helped me to start using the semicolon. Man, that character is nice. It almost makes the comma obsolete. Thank you. There you go. Congratulations. It's like in V for Vendetta where the guy gets taken away for having the Quran in a secret room. Thank you, Vientikis. SB Zipkin, Red God, and RTSG are making great videos on communism. Join the ACP. No culture war, only class war. Islam and Christianity is communism. You guys are up in your super chat budget now. It's like the third one of them we got from you.
They must have gotten a donation from the Kremlin.
Yeah. We always stop people who've done nothing wrong, not doing anything for your image there, mate. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's no problem. That's why I said it's like a Monty Python. It's not a problem. We stop people from doing nothing wrong all the time. Epstein Island is a Uwe Boll movie I'd actually watch. Willie Bragg, make 1984 fiction again. Thanks, Willie Bragg. Good to see you, Willie. S. Scooby, which is more authoritarian, the UK or North Korea? I don't know. Russell go there next.
I don't know. Maybe that'll be next. I hear the economy's booming. I keep meaning to read that article.
Zero Infinity. That video of the woman being attacked would go viral if you tell people that it was a J woman, not a Palestinian, being accosted. Right? Well, that's what I said. I said the reason why I mean, it's not the reason, but one of the big reasons why you don't, why you see Orthodox Jews act out like that is because it does not get the kind of coverage that it would get. Imagine if a Muslim group, right? Imagine if a Muslim group acted out like that. Imagine if a Christian group, if any other group of people did that. Yes, it would be all over the place. P. Walker, EU nations are vassals to Brussels. Van der Leyen had no authority to ban Russian overflights, but she enforced it anyway. Right, but the individual states have to there's not like a fucking is there an EU criminal court in Brussels that you go and get charged that they summon you to, or is it incumbent upon these individual nations?
Yeah, so here's what I'm not clear about. Like, is it like the federal system where federal law supersedes local law? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's weird. I don't know. To be fair, maybe Douglas can't speak because he's never been. Love from Florida. Thank you. Vientikis, read the textbook, Eaton. You'll remember trig functions. You'll also understand them better than what you were taught in school. I remember handling the trig functions pretty well. The one area where I could not grasp them was in physics. For some reason, if it was just a straightforward math problem, I had no problem with it. But when I took physics and I had to apply those trig functions, I couldn't do it. I was totally hopeless. I dropped out of the class because I knew I could never pass a standardized test. It was impossible.
I pretty much stopped going to school after I was 13, so I never got to trig.
Never got to trig. Dimitri, hesitate to share as I know your deep hatred of the elderly. I remember weeping as the wall fell. They are dangerous. Should have divided the country into 16 parts. Solidarity from Harlem. I don't hate the elderly. That's funny. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Jake, for putting that up on the screen. Appreciate that. All right, everybody. Well, that's our show. We are heading over to Rumble right now for the Q&A. DueDissidents.com/Rumble takes you right to this current live stream. We'll take a 5-minute break. Russ has an intermission.
Yeah, this is my first intermission made on DaVinci, so I had to rebuild it. So I changed it up a little bit. But yeah, quite a lot of movie trailers in there.
Nice.
And a lot of food ads.
Nice. All right. Well, if you're heading over for the Q&A, we'll see you in 5 minutes. Everybody else, we'll see you back here Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Jimmy Dore Show. Big week coming up this week. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for sticking with us tonight. Thanks to the YouTubers and the Rumblers and the mods for keeping the peace in the chat, and to Jake in the booth. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll see you for Q&A. Other than that, we'll see you when we see you next. Until whenever we see you next. Thanks for being here tonight. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.